Casting stations.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time on a Monday, April 10th, 2023 edition. Bryant Dacus and Jay Morgan Harder with you. No Brett Norsworthy again today. He'll be back with us tomorrow in studio, I believe, so it'll be fun to have Brett back. But it was a great weekend, a busy weekend. A lot happened. We had the Masters. We had some Tiger news. We had some Grizzlies news. The NBA regular season came to an end, but the biggest story of the weekend was probably the Woj bomb. Saturday afternoon, early afternoon, saying that Steven Adams likely will not play at all in the postseason. Grizzlies haven't said anything official yet on the Steven Adams front, but it does look like Steven Adams unlikely to play at all in the postseason.
They got scooped by Woj.
Yeah, and
the organization
still haven't
said
said anything.
Well, you know.
But the conspiracy theories are out, you know?
What are they?
Well, that he's not going to actually be out, that Woj has bad information.
Wow. Well, it very well could be.
The
organization hasn't said anything.
No, and he was out yesterday shooting in Oklahoma City, and there were some videos that people were posting of him out shooting, saying that, you know, maybe if he was out for the playoffs, why would he be shooting before the game? And then today, downtown by the FedEx Forum, they put up their postseason banner, and it has Steven Adams on it. And people were
still marketable.
Yeah, but people are saying that, you know, it's all the starters and Steven Adams. So it's the remaining four starters and Steven Adams. So they're saying that that's their homage
which would be very interesting. So either two things are true. Either the coaching staff is in cahoots with the marketing department, and the marketing department that has no bearing on basketball activities knows a lot about the inner workings of the team.
Yes.
Or the marketing, well, I guess this is kind of one and the same, or the marketing department is been talking to the coaching staff, sits in the meetings, and they know actually what's going on in terms of health of players, who's going to play.
What if someone came and said, look, we want to surprise everybody game one of the playoffs with Steven Adams' return, so let's give hints here and there that he's actually going to play. This is like the Elvis isn't dead conspiracy theory.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, the marketing department knows a lot about the inner workings of the team. I mean, they sit in the meetings. I would say it goes general managers and coaching staff are even at level 1, level 2 marketing department. I mean,
wow, high.
Taylor Jenkins is always walking through the offices of like the daily workers, like the sales staff and the marketing department, like
checking in with them.
Like, what do you think we should do here? And so it makes sense to me that they would understand something like that.
Yeah. So
I love the conspiracy theory. Well thought out. Good one.
Yeah, that's been all over Grizz Twitter this morning. I've been seeing it.
Interesting.
Steven Adams.
I haven't heard any of that. I kind of just thought it died with the Woj. And Shams, I think, also echoed the tweet.
He did.
So now we have the two most respected reporters of NBA news, both in cahoots on it. But no, I'm not convinced.
No, I'm not convinced either.
Wow, so we're in cahoots too.
We're in cahoots. And it doesn't seem like any. You know, we're going to talk to DeMichael Cole at 5:00 about the Grizzlies and the upcoming playoffs. Doesn't seem like he also buys the conspiracy theory. He has been writing about what the Grizzlies are going to have to do now that Steven Adams is out.
Maybe we can convince him.
Maybe.
So we'll have to do that at 5:00.
We'll have to. We'll talk to him at 5:00. David Cobb also going to join us at 4:00. Talk some college basketball.
Maybe we can convince him too. Before we start getting into that.
I think David might be a little more easy to convince than DeMichael.
You think?
Maybe.
Because DeMichael has his job tied into his credibility on the subject.
If we
David might be willing to have a little fun about it.
To David Cobb, he'd maybe just be like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, I like it. We'll have to ask him.
We'll ask him. That'll be our first question.
That's right.
Both of them. But the Masters also this weekend. Jon Rahm gets the victory. What is he, the 5th Spaniard to win the Masters? Something like that.
Sure, sounds right.
Or maybe 5th Spanish descent, something like that. Very, he double bogey on Thursday. He was my pick, for anybody that wasn't here when we made picks last week.
You nailed it.
Was feeling a little worried, but he tried and true the entire time. So a good win for John Rahm.
Very good win. Happy to see it. It looks like I could be right. I'm not sure. I just looked up.
I've seen different numbers.
A quick Google search: Seve Ballesteros, Jose Maria Olazabal, who had a struggle after day one, and then Sergio Garcia in 2017. So could be the fourth. Could be the fifth, though.
Okay.
There might be a fifth that I don't see here. But according to Masters.com, this graphic they have here lists 3, and then you add in John Rahm.
Perfect.
So there you go.
So 4 with John Rahm. Did you see what he said yesterday after he won about
be a goldfish?
No, I didn't see that.
This is not what you're talking about.
I'm not what I'm talking about. What are you? Be a goldfish. That's the don't tell me. Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. That's right. So after the match yesterday, he said that he had a 4-putt.
To start hole 1 Thursday.
To start the round on Thursday, he had a 4-putt, and he said he was just thinking to himself, "Be a goldfish" from Ted Lasso.
Wow.
And all the reporters looked at him like he was crazy. He goes, "Have you guys?" He goes, first of all, he said, "I was thinking be a goldfish," which we all know. I mean, that's very famous. Everyone knows what that's from. And he looks at all the reporters, and everyone's staring at him like he's crazy. And he goes, "Have you guys seen Ted Lasso?" They're going, "No." And he goes, "Okay, well, the idea in Ted Lasso is be a goldfish. Goldfish have a 10-second memory, and so you forget things quickly. So they're the happiest animal on earth because they only have a 10-second memory. They can't dwell on things in the past or things in the future. You have to be a goldfish, and it's a good mentality to keep when you're competing in sports, and that's what John Rahm credits winning the Masters to. Well, what was the story?
And everybody was completely lost. That's great pub for Ted Lasso, though.
Which
in
is
the midst
of season 3 right now. I believe they're 4 or 5 episodes in.
Something like that.
No episode on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was the story you saw?
I was going to talk about how he said about 10 minutes before he teed off on Thursday, Zach Ertz texted him.
And J.J. Watt confirmed it.
J.J. Watt confirmed it because they were in a group chat.
It's great.
And Zach Ertz said that.
Of course, J.J. Watt confirmed it.
Yeah.
J.J. Watt has to be in the middle of the story. He was very upset that he wasn't
his name wasn't brought up at all.
So he had to make sure everybody knew. I saw it too.
I was there.
I also saw it.
He also did he screenshotted it and gave the receipts. But
of course.
Zach Ertz texted.
And then he brought a film crew with him to give away shoes to starving children who can't afford shoes. That's what J.J. Watt always does. He always does these very charitable activities.
But he always has a camera.
Always make sure there's a camera.
And he always posts pictures of his off-season workout. Wow. You know, the whole work, get the work done in the dark. That doesn't seem to.
There's a lot of people that do charitable activities, and it just so happens there's not always a camera there. But it seems like whenever J.J. Watt does a charitable activity, everyone seems to know about it. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
Anyway, he got a text message from Zach Ertz.
From Zach Ertz, yes, that said, the first one said, just act like you're playing, or I think the first one was like a good luck text from Zach Ertz. And then J.J. Watt came in and said, just act like you're playing with me and Zach.
The boys.
And it'll be great. Yeah, you'll win it by a landslide.
Wow.
And then Zach Ertz texted again and said something like, that green jacket already looks good on you. It's going to be a walk in the park this weekend.
That's right. I mean, what? So he can credit to Zach Ertz. He actually did that on the green when he gave his green speech.
And he asked Zach Ertz to never do that again because he went out. He saw that, and then his first, like we said, he 4-putted his first hole.
But then he remembered he was a goldfish.
He was a goldfish,
and then everything went his way.
Next page, but it was I thought it was a fun weekend at the Masters. Thursday got stopped. We talked about that. Friday got stopped early.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then they go out Saturday, and it's raining all day Saturday. They stop play at about 3 o'clock.
John Rahm put like 30 holes yesterday.
Yeah, because he wasn't done with his third round.
Right. So everything got pushed back
significantly. And they started at 7:30 yesterday morning. I didn't think they were going to get everything in yesterday.
And I remember there was one year, I think it was Adam Scott's last win, where when they were doing the ceremony on the 18th green, it was literally dark out. So like the flashes, maybe it was raining too, and like the flashes, so it was probably darker because it was raining, but the flashes of the camera, it was noticeably dark, and that was all the light you had, was the flashes of the camera and stuff like that. I was surprised we didn't have that yesterday too, but we didn't. When he was giving that speech about Zach Ertz, it was still dusk.
It was,
there was
still
light
sun
outside.
out.
Yeah, that's right.
So they kind of rolled through the final round, it seemed. They were both complaining someday this week. It was either Sunday or Saturday. It had to have been Sunday. They were complaining that the group in front of them was going too slow. was probably Saturday, maybe.
I think it was Saturday.
And that Brooks Koepka said that John Rahm went to the restroom 7 times, and they're still waiting.
Oh, yeah, I think that was Saturday, but although that same thing happened yesterday, too, there was at one point in time, I guess they were the only 2 groups on the course still, where it was literally the camera was just on Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
And so it had to be Saturday. He was waiting too long because they played together Sunday, and there was a
No. They said that they were playing together. That's
when he went to the bathroom.
That Brooks Koepka was standing there, and like John Rahm would disappear to go to the restroom and come back and be like, "Are we not up yet?" And
maybe
Brooks would be like, "No."
Maybe that was Sunday then, because there was a period of time where the camera was on them, just standing there by their bags for
had to have been.
I mean, a good 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the people behind them were getting a lot of video FaceTime in that regard.
And Brooks Koepka notably hates slow pace of play.
Well, he hates golf.
Course.
He
also hates golf.
He doesn't. And
very competitive.
Imagine how good he would be if he practiced.
Great point.
As Brooks Koepka says, he never practiced. The only time he plays golf is when you see him playing golf on TV, and he's second in the Masters.
That's right.
So he's so good. Imagine if he practiced. He'd win every major.
Here's my theory.
Oh, okay.
Brooks Koepka notably hates golf, notably doesn't practice, notably loves being on the lake more than he loves being on land.
According to him.
Allegedly. Last week was Liv's Orlando event, and he won it. So he had a week of golf before, and so, it was kind of the momentum. He's got his feel back. If there hadn't been a Liv event last week, I don't think Brooks Koepka makes the cut.
So he used that event as practice.
Yeah, because he doesn't practice. So that was his practice.
And he also says he only cares about winning major tournaments. He doesn't
this was a major.
He doesn't even try to win non-majors. So. Yeah. So there you go. So that's great for Brooks. I mean, honestly, imagine how many majors Brooks Koepka would win if he cared. It'd be crazy. If he just cared about golf, he'd be one of the best in the world.
Ever.
I mean, he would maybe be rivaling Tiger Woods in terms of majors won in the modern era in that regard, rivaling Jack Nicklaus.
Face of golf.
There's really no telling.
Yeah.
He'd win every major.
Speaking of Tiger Woods had to withdraw
WD.
Saturday.
It was Saturday.
Saturday, because he was out on the golf course Saturday and just looked miserable the entire time.
The last video we saw of him was him literally limping.
A terrible limp.
3 feet from where the ball was to his bag, couldn't even walk from the ball to his bag. It was not a good thing to see.
No, it's
if you care about Tiger and want him to chase all these records and whatnot, it was tough to see.
Do you think he plays at the Masters next year? Competitively?
I mean, a year away, yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I can't speak to whether or not it'll be would you consider making the cut competitive?
I don't mean competitive. I mean, he could go out there and play practice rounds and just be hanging out and not actually compete. I'm saying, actually on Thursday in an actual round of golf playing.
I do think so, yeah.
Okay.
A year away?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever this is, I could imagine it gets at least somewhat resolved, manageable within a year.
Yeah.
So I would say
yes. The weather certainly played a factor.
Earl Woods, the only thing that can stop my son is the cold, and apparently the rain. But it was cold and rainy, so both things.
Both.
So it took its toll on him yesterday.
Yeah.
Or Saturday.
So a fun Masters all around. I thought, even though all the weather kind of made it weird throughout the weekend, it was still.
So you excited for Hilton Head this week then?
Yeah, the RBC. Heritage Classic.
RBCs, because there's 2 RBCs. The Canadian Open is sponsored by RBC.
Oh.
And then you got the Heritage Classic at Hilton Head is sponsored by RBC.
I'm going to go back to back if I have to.
Is that right?
Do we want to do a leaderboard update for our picks?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. Give me a filibuster for a second.
What we do here on Sports Time is we make picks every week with our great golf guest, John Goen. And we make picks based on one player has to be in the top anything. It can be any player. And then your second player has to be outside of the top 25.
So 26 and lower.
26 and lower. And so we do that every week for every tournament.
Right.
Double points in the majors. And the way we track points is based on the money they earn. So that's how we keep track. And I believe Bryant Dacus picked the winner. Is that correct?
I did.
Look at you.
What a start. I told you I was coming for blood this year.
That's right.
And a hot start. I'm in first place right now with $6,638,400. John, he's in second place with $3,362,400. He almost won with Brooks Koepka. Brett texted me last night and said if John had won with Brooks Koepka, that really would have ruined the entire segment the rest of the year. Jay, you're in third with $965,520. And Brett, tough weekend. He had Rory as his pick, who missed the cut.
Well, you had because you picked Rahm,
And then I picked Jason Day.
who was really good going into
Really
the
good.
weekend, and then just fell
Fell
apart
off.
completely.
Yeah.
So you had a period of time, you had two guys in like the top
Top
5,
10.
top 10
Yeah.
or something like that. So that was really good. Hey, you said you handicapped all week, and it paid off.
Paid off, so maybe I need to start like tonight.
Let's
for this
see
week.
if it goes to Hilton Head.
Yeah, let's see.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
I would imagine your interest and enthusiasm might wane in the tournaments that aren't majors.
You think?
Maybe not. Maybe you'll be
All right.
be playing inspired golf
So-
all year.
Okay, so
Inspired golf
when's
picks.
the next major?
I'll find out. I believe the next major is the British Open.
Okay, and when is that?
No, the next major is the PGA.
And when is that?
I'm looking it up
Okay, because I kind of want to make a bet.
because they changed the order, and I believe the next major is now the PGA is in May.
Okay, so that's not too long.
Not too long, and then the U.S. Open's in June, and the British Open's in July.
Do you think I'm still as locked in by the PGA?
Well, the trick is not to be locked in while the majors are going on.
But I'm
it's
saying
the
in
lulls
between.
in between
Okay,
that might get you.
So what's that? A month away, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
This year's PGA Championship. Dang, all I can see is May here. I'll find it for you.
By
Keep talking.
June. By June. Today's August 10th or April 10th. By June
August,
10th.
Jesus Christ.
By June 10th, am I still engaged with golf and golf picks?
Maybe.
That's not
Well,
very.
again,
not very yes or no.
I think you'll be engaged for major championships.
So that's why I put it at a 2-month window. After 2 months, am I still as fired up for golf?
Again, I think you'll get fired up for major championships.
Just not anything else.
I just feel like you might wane a little bit. Like the period of time where you made your push last year was
when you were handicapping them.
after the British Open.
Yes.
And it was going into the FedEx playoffs.
And we were getting a lot of buzz around the city for the tournament.
You picked like 6 of 7 winners.
Yeah.
That would be the period of time I could see you maybe losing interest a little bit. And then getting geared back up again when the FedEx St. Jude Classic comes around.
That's fair.
Maybe not, though. Maybe this is something, this picking the winner of the Masters might galvanize your interest and enthusiasm about the sport of golf.
I think
and you
you're
might
right.
really pick it up and enjoy it and love it.
I held a golf club last night.
Like in your hand.
In my hand.
Wow.
Yeah,
How about that?
It was like a victory swing. You know?
Interesting.
But
Did you hit a ball with it or you just held the club?
I just held out. I don't have anywhere to hit a ball
That's
with.
fair
so.
enough. You can hit it in the woods or, go
I
to
don't
the
have
local.
any woods around
Hell,
me.
I bet that you go to a local park, take a ball, put it on a tee, swing away.
Hit a child.
Well, don't do that. Try not to do that.
So that's our Masters recap. John Rahm wins the green jacket yesterday evening, but we need to get to top and not top story of the day. Before we do that, here's Brett Norsworthy with a word from Lexus of Memphis.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. The one and only Lexus dealership in town. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
My top story of the day is what the Grizzlies did over the weekend. They split a pair of games against the Bucks and yesterday against the Thunder in their final game of the regular season. Woj reported Saturday the really tough news for the Grizzlies that Steven Adams likely to miss the entire playoffs. And so the Grizzlies, right after that, Woj also announced that the Grizzlies were signing Kenneth Lofton to a standard contract so that he could be a part of the team in the playoffs. And now they'll wait to see who they play, either the Lakers or the T-Wolves. I think it's going to be the Lakers.
Which is the more notable news?
Probably the Steven Adams.
Think?
More notable than Kenneth Lofton?
I'm just asking. I just wondering.
See what he did yesterday?
At 40-something.
Woo!
42 piece.
Woo! Looked good.
He did look good. Is that it?
That was it.
So, but your final note was you think it'll be the Lakers.
I think it'll be the Lakers. I want it to be the T-Wolves.
Yeah, Jaden McDaniels being hurt affects that a lot. Hey, we can
Wall
talk more
always
about.
wins.
We can talk. It's a great point. We can talk more about that later
We
too.
will.
Walls are solid.
That's right.
I think your hands are solid too, but your
But
hands
not
have
as solid.
That's right. Bones are a little more fragile than that. My top story of the day is kind of along the same lines. The NBA playoffs are. Neither one of our top stories is the Masters Championship.
Well, we just spent 15 minutes talking about the Masters.
So but that's not how top and not top story
that's
work.
the
It's
point.
not like we just talked about these are the top and not top stories outside of
It's true.
what we just
well,
talked
but
for 15
that was the
minutes
top
about.
story yesterday. You know, the
Not
world
the top
moves
story
on today. Yeah.
It's true. It's right. You can't live in the past.
That's right. Sorry, John Rahm.
Goldfish, 10-second memory. Be a goldfish. Happiest
Sometimes it
animal
works
on
in your
earth.
favor, John Rahm. Sometimes it doesn't.
Works against you sometimes. Yeah, the playoffs are set in the NBA. We have the play-in starting tomorrow night. Lakers play Minnesota. Pelicans play Oklahoma City in the West. And then you have the Heat and the Hawks in the East. And also Toronto and Chicago as the 9-10 game in the Eastern Conference. Some of these teams might be able to make a run. The Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. The Lakers with a LeBron James and a healthy Anthony Davis. LeBron might be playing the best basketball of his career. They're a team that can make a noise. I know Grizzlies fans might not want to hear that, but the Lakers could be a competitive team in this playoffs. And who knows, if the Pelicans get healthy, what kind of noise they can make too. I'm excited for the playoffs. Some really good series coming up. Who knows what's going to happen with the Suns and the Clippers? Who knows what's going to happen with the Kings and the Warriors? A lot of good matchups set here in the NBA playoffs.
Not top story of the day.
Well, it was a big
And
week.
Cavs Knicks, I didn't even mention. How about that?
Cavs
Sorry.
Knicks. That'll actually be a really fun
really good series. I'm torn on that one. And,
Yeah.
and honestly, I think the Nets. I want to put the Sixers in the tier with the Celtics and the Bucks. Keith Smith told me, "Wait, hold your horses on the Sixers.
Slow down."
The Nets could be a competitive series in that one,
Yeah.
and so competitive that they might even win it. So who knows what's going to happen?
It's gonna be fun. My not top story of the
Well,
day.
you
I was
said
getting way ahead of schedule.
550.
Wow. Penny Hardaway had a good weekend, getting 2 commits. We'll talk a little more in detail about him in the next segment. But getting a pair of guards, Caleb Mills and Jonathan Pierre, after visits this weekend. I think a couple other guys were also on visits. One put the Tigers in their top 3. I'm not sure if there was another one. I haven't heard any update on what he thought of his visit. But I think you bring 3 or 4 guys in, you get 2 already committed. It's a good weekend for Coach Hardaway and that staff.
Yeah, no kidding. I want to watch these guys. I don't really, but I feel like I know so little about all of this stuff happening. I want to watch. The one thing I can bring to the conversation is I have access to the film to actually watch these guys play and assess their ability.
Something that not a lot of people have.
Haven't done that yet, though. Don't know anything about them. All I know is their names because of you said.
That's what you did last year with KO, most notably.
And the kid, who was the Elijah McCadden.
Elijah McCadden.
Who I liked him as well. Elijah McCadden, a really good player, ended up being a good post guard for them in that category.
So, but you were the one that was like, KO is like, let's settle down on KO talk.
Dog water. I shouldn't say that, but he is. My not top story of the day is Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson get in an altercation, and then Jaden McDaniels also breaks his hand on the last day of the regular season. Jaden McDaniels, one of the 3 best on-ball defenders in the NBA. A huge blow for the Timberwolves. When you're in a 7-game series, you need your best defenders to guard the best players on the other team because that's where they shine the brightest.
Yep.
The one thing that could go in the favor of the T-Wolves, though, is who exactly would he be guarding if they were to play the Nuggets? I don't know. I mean, not that Jamal Murray's chopped liver, but the crux of their game comes from Jokic.
Yeah.
And Jaden McDaniels was not going to guard Jokic, so it could end up being, not that he's going to come back for the second round either, if they even make the second round. So my non-top story of the day is that injury, and in addition, Rudy Gobert now being suspended by the team for 1 game, not going to play against the Lakers after punching Kyle Anderson in a huddle altercation. Wild stuff happening up there. I want to talk more about Rudy Gobert later for how it has to do with the Defensive Player of the Year award coming up here. Very well could go to Jaren Jackson.
That's what they call a tease.
I'm a pro.
You're a pro. You're talented, that's for sure. But I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead, get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the transfers that committed to the Tigers and some other college basketball news. That's next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
on April 15th. Don't miss the historic return of pro football to Memphis.
Here we go.
After 40 years, the Showboats are back. So get your tickets for a huge USFL kickoff weekend at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium.
All the way to the house.
Bring the whole family and show off your Showboats pride with a free t-shirt.
Doesn't get much more exciting than that.
Seats start at just $10.
Touchdown.
Buy your tickets today at theusfl.com.
Do you want to know what's trending now? You can defer payments of a full NetSuite implementation for 6 months. No payments and no interest for 6 months. This is a big deal. NetSuite by Oracle has never made an offer like this in its 22 years as the leading cloud financial system. 33,000 companies have already upgraded to NetSuite, gaining visibility and control over their financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. Everything they need to reduce manual processes, boost efficiency, build forecasts, and increase productivity across every department. In fact, almost 90% of finance leaders agree that NetSuite helps them reduce manual data entry time. Whether your business generates millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, take advantage of this special financing offer of no payments or interest for 6 months at netsuite.com/play. That's netsuite.com/play. netsuite.com/play.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into the Sports Time. Bryant Dacus and Jay Morgan Harder with you. No Brett Norsworthy today, but he'll be back tomorrow. And we talked a little bit about it during Top and Not Top Story in the last segment. But Memphis added a pair of transfers over the weekend. They hosted a handful of guys for a visit over the weekend. But Caleb Mills, who most recently was at Florida State, averaged 13 points, 3.4 assists last year for Florida State, but started his career at Houston. He was the first to commit to Penny Hardaway, a 6'3" guard. Then late last night, after finishing his visit, Jonathan Pierre, a 6'9" guard, who, if you remember, he is the Division II transfer from Nova Southeastern, who has been contacted by 120 Division I colleges before he set up his visit to Memphis. Memphis did a good job recruiting him. I'm sure Penny Hardaway, being around that size, said, you come here, I can, develop you into what I was. And so I'm sure that was a big reason that Jonathan Pierre decided to come to Memphis. But Jonathan Pierre last year, for an undefeated Nova Southeastern team that won the national championship, 14.5 points, 5.2 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 40% from 3. I like it. I just want to see how it translates to Division I.
I just want to see the guy play.
Yeah.
I have no preconceived notions about how well Division II basketball translates to Division I. We've seen Division III players, even go from Division III to Division I, and we've seen it worked out, and some of those guys even go on to play in the NBA. So I have no preconceived notions about how it could translate to Division I basketball. I've never seen the kid play before. I think a lot of people that maybe talk about it right now, some maybe have. I don't want to say that nobody has, but I would say a lot of people probably have never seen the guy play before. They're getting really excited about it. It's not to say the guy won't be the best player on the team, even, but you
just don't know.
I'd like to see it first.
Yeah. I was kind of looking at Twitter and stuff and trying to find news articles from last year about this guy when he committed. It was very weird.
And he's going to be a sophomore, right? He was only a freshman last year?
I think he's going to be I don't know.
He's going to be a junior.
I think he's going to be a junior because he's played 2 seasons.
Oh, okay.
So he'd be a junior.
I was going to say if he's going to be a sophomore, so that maybe I shouldn't even say it, but I was going to say if he's going to be a sophomore, it would show that after his first year, he was clearly in the wrong league, in the wrong division.
Yeah.
I mean, so that would be a positive thing you could take. But if he's been there 2 years, maybe it still means that.
Well, the one thing I found last night from a guy who might have been covered for the news station down around Nova Southeastern, but he kind of tweeted about him and him committing to Memphis and said that he's a late bloomer, that when he got to campus, very under-recruited, and got there, averaged like 9.5 as a freshman, but really kind of took it to a different level this year. So maybe that late bloomer could come in and really get things going at Memphis, because if you can get similar numbers to this from a 6'9" guard, I take it every single day, especially the 40%. If that's the worst that happens, if you can bring him in and he becomes a three-point shooter for you. I mean, we saw last year the Tigers just had no three-point shooting. I mean, that would be helpful at the very least.
Very much so. 50% from the field, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And 40% from three. If that can translate exactly like that, which three-point shooting might translate more than just field goal percentage in general, that would be huge, man. And regardless of what he could add, it would be 6'9" guard, right?
Yeah, 6'9" guard.
I got flashes of what's the kid's name that transferred from Virginia Tech a couple years ago that transferred again out?
To Memphis?
Yes.
Landers Nolly?
Is that Landers? Yeah, Landers Nolly. Remember, he transferred away from Virginia Tech because he wanted to play guard, and they saw him more in a forward role.
Yeah.
And they told him that he could be a guard just like Penny Hardaway if he came to play in Memphis.
Yeah.
So for every positive thing I can think of, I can also think of a negative example.
Same thing
as
with
well.
Amani, another big guard that Penny.
Yeah, but the difference with Amani is that
different,
he's an NBA prospect.
That's right. That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
But I do like the addition of Jonathan Pierre, kind of the more unknown. Caleb Mills, we kind of know what you're going to get from him.
You said he went to Florida State?
Most recently at Florida State. I think he spent 2 years at Florida State. The first 2 years were at Houston.
I like that program, but they were not good last year.
Very bad.
But I do like the program. I mean,
and he was their starting guard. I think led the team with 13 points per game. So, I mean, I think this is a veteran. Everyone's been talking about a veteran guard that can come in. You've got Mikey Williams coming in, who a lot of the spotlight's going to be on him, but you kind of want that veteran guard to be able to come in and at least start the season as the main guard on the court. And I think you got a great one in Caleb Mills for sure.
Yeah, I'll have to take your word for it on that. But I do like we just said. Oh, you said he came from Houston, too.
First couple years at Houston, yeah.
Do we know why he transferred to Florida State?
I do not.
Oh, so he's a graduate transfer, too. So he's graduated now, so this is
because that's the whole thing is, if this was his third school and he was just transferring, he'd probably have to sit out a year, but he's a grad transfer, so you don't have to worry about that.
Well, I like his age at the very least. You know what I mean? I like – we saw a lot of success that the Tigers had last year comparatively to other years. I guess the end result was very similar,
right?
But a lot of success in getting older transfers last season, whether it be Elijah McCadden or Keontae Kennedy was like he
was older,
the older guy. So you've seen success in that regard, and Kendrick Davis too. Obviously, you saw success in that regard. So I like the idea of adding older players from other Power 5 institutions.
And I mean, this is a guy that, like you said, we don't know why he transferred from Houston, but a guy that played in Kelvin Sampson's system. I love Kelvin
Yeah,
Sampson.
I love
as a
his
coach.
two coaches. He had Kelvin Sampson
and Leonard
Hamilton.
And then played in the ACC, so usually a tough conference year in, year out. So I like that addition a lot. I like what Jonathan Pierre could be. I haven't seen anything from him. But you mentioned Keontae Kennedy. He entered the transfer portal yesterday morning, and I believe either Jason Munns or the beat writer for the Daily Memphian, who I'm blanking on his name, Parth Upadhyaya, I think is how you pronounce his last name. One of them reported that Keontae Kennedy is in the transfer portal, and I think has made it clear that he's not even considering a return to Memphis. So that's another spot you'll have opened up on the roster. But that's a guy I thought that you would get back in Keontae Kennedy. It seemed right after the season that all the talk was he's going to try to go see the NBA route and, try to get some coaching from that and see what he needs to work on to become an NBA player. But then all signs were kind of pointing to him coming back and being a primary option in that offense. But maybe these incoming transfers kind of swayed that. I don't really know. But that's kind of a loss that I didn't love to see yesterday morning.
Are we convinced all the freshmen that have announced their intention to come to Memphis, they're coming, right? So there's no...
The guys who are signed... So there's 4 guys signed now.
Who are the 4 guys signed?
Mikey Williams, J.J. Taylor, Ashton Hardaway, and Carl Schranfant. I'm pretty sure all 4 of those guys will be on campus.
Well, that's good.
Now, outside of that, you've got Ryan Forrest, who's committed. Not sure about him. Tyler Johnson, another guard. I doubt he probably stays committed. He hasn't signed. I think that might be everybody who's committed, because I know David Tubeck was committed, but he has since decommitted and is now committed, maybe signed to Seton Hall. So I think those 4 you're definitely going to have in. I just don't know about Ryan Forrest and Tyler Johnson.
Well, we'll have to see, I suppose, in that regard. Yeah. How many other I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm totally ignorant on the subject. That's why I'm asking you questions, because you know a lot more than me. How many other portal guys are the Tigers looking at?
Well, there's
or just any that you can think of that you've named.
There's a handful. I mean, here's the thing. You got 2 guards this weekend.
So spots are filling up.
So here's what the roster looks like right now, at least. Let's start there. Chandler Lawson, forward Chandler Lawson, guard Jonathan Lawson, guard Jaden Hardaway have all said they're coming back. There's been no word about Malcolm, so I guess right now he's in. And then you've got Mikey Williams signed, J.J. Taylor signed, Ashton Hardaway signed, Carl Schranfant signed, Nick Jourdain from the transfer portal, Caleb Mills from the transfer portal, and Jonathan Pierre from the transfer portal. So by my count, that's 11 guys. That means only 2 spots remaining. You got to go.
And you didn't even name walk-ons then?
No, but 13 scholarships.
Right, 13 scholarships.
So that's 11 guys. 2 spots remaining unless something happens with like Malcolm Dandridge, which we haven't heard anything about him. They got to go out and get it big.
There's a chance Malcolm can come back though.
Yes, but
as it stands right now, the 6'9" kid from Division II is the biggest player on the team.
Yeah.
And he's going to play point guard.
Or
he might
guard in some way.
He might not be playing point guard then.
No. Yeah.
Or you might be super undersized.
How tall is Nick Jourdain? Nick Jourdain's about 6'9".
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, the tallest guy you got right now, 6'9". You got to go out and get a big – there's a lot – no, Nick Jourdain is 6'8".
6'8", according to ESPN.
So, but – you know who entered the transfer portal yesterday?
Who's that?
Musa Cisse.
I did see that. David Cobb tweeted about that, saying that players I can't remember what the stat was, but it had to do with some kind of it was either blocks or offensive rebounds or something like that. And Musa Cisse was 3rd on his list of guys in the transfer portal. Yeah. So teams
probably
that are looking
Khalil Ware and one other guy. We can ask
teams looking for a big, he would be certainly one to look at.
Would you take Musa Cisse back?
I mean, do I need a big? Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Although there might be a lot of PTSD in that regard. But if you're going to have PTSD about an 18-year-old college freshman, maybe reevaluate your priorities.
I mean, he was great at Oklahoma State last year.
Well, good.
He was good.
He was good.
He was good.
He played the
got
role
job
that
done.
exactly.
Yeah.
He played the role they asked him
About
to
8
perfectly.
points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game.
That's right.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I like this Ali Khalifa guy, but it sounds like he might be going to BYU.
What do I know about Ali Khalifa?
Ali Khalifa is – now, you're going to hate this.
Okay. Hey, let me decide if I hate it or not.
When you were out of town last week, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
I told Dave Woloshin that
Voice of the Tigers.
Ali Khalifa was the closest collegiate, D1 collegiate comparison to Nikola Jokic.
Well, maybe so. I've never seen Ali Khalifa. See, why would I hate that? I don't even know anything about Ali Khalifa. Very well could be the closest thing.
Because I just compared a center for Charlotte to an NBA MVP.
Also 2.5 assists a game.
Yeah.
Jokic averages a few more than that.
Just a few.
And only plays 8 more minutes.
Yeah.
Over
But
the
this
course
guy's
of the current
awesome.
game. But he's awesome, though.
Shoots like 38% from 3. I think like 50% from the field.
I would say that
grabs rebounds.
number 3, the backup center for FAU, closest thing to Jokic in college basketball. How about that? You're gonna hate this. When I did see, I have something to offer to this
please.
segment. I can't even believe it.
I can't either.
The kid Elijah Martin from
Yes.
15
Yes.
from FAU is declared for the NBA draft.
Yes.
I don't know if he's keeping
But
his
he is
eligibility.
keeping his From what
Okay.
I saw, he's keeping his eligibility.
Well, there you go.
And what I saw said that he has made it very clear that if he does not stay in the NBA draft, that he's 1,000% going back to Florida Atlantic.
Wow.
I think
I thought we heard that FAU was going to be decimated by the portal.
exactly. I don't think that's going to happen.
Is number 1 coming back? What's his name? Jordan Jahil.
John L. Davis.
John L. Davis.
Yes.
Is he eligible to come back?
Everyone on that team can come back.
Everyone can come back.
Everyone
as
in
of
that
now,
starting
it
lineup-
appears they are.
Everyone in that starting lineup was a sophomore. I'm pretty
Interesting.
sure. Or junior. Everyone in that starting lineup can come back if they want to come back.
Well, that team is obviously really good, but you have to take comfort if you're the University of Memphis. Well, I say that, but you lost to Tulane twice this past year.
Yeah. UCF once.
Temple's going to be in the league. They
Temple's gonna
gave
be
you a
there.
good. You probably should have lost at Temple.
Should have.
But that might even out somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say you can rest easy knowing if, let's say, 6'9" is your biggest guy. That's not ideal. But you're in a much, should I say much worse league? A worse league. So
than
I
you
guess
were
you
last
can take solace in that.
Yeah.
However, how many bids does your league get now? Maybe 2 still.
Maybe.
Because I think you and I, or maybe me and John, I can't remember, hypothesized that it would have less bids, this new American, but not necessarily, because the teams that left, it's not like the Big 12 is going to get discernibly more bids than it did this year,
Right.
or any Power 5 school is going to get more bids than it already does.
Yeah.
So the American still very well could be a 2-bid league every year, and that would still serve Memphis well in that regard. So we'll just have to see. Hey, a lot of question marks. It's
A lot of question marks.
April 10th.
And a lot of still unknown in the transfer portal. I mean, there's plenty of centers, big men that they're going after that could still, come take a visit and
And you could
commit.
get Dandridge back.
You could. I mean, what was it?
And he was playing really well before he got hurt.
He was. He has shown a lot of flashes throughout his career. I just don't know. I mean, with all the injuries he's had, do you really just even want to come back to college basketball?
So you going to give him the pink slip like he did? He gave Landers Nolly the pink slip.
He did.
Did he give Lester Quinones a pink slip?
No.
He didn't. He would have taken Lester back.
Yes.
And he gave
Lester
Tyler
went to the
Harris the
NBA.
pink slip.
He gave Tyler Harris the pink slip.
And that's the only 2 guys he gave pink slip to, right?
Just last year.
Yeah, just last year.
Before, he's given plenty of other guys the pink slip.
Lots of pink
but,
slips.
that's every coach. But yeah, I mean, a lot to still be determined. But I do like the pickups and guards. I just think they need to add another big man. And what was it? I mean, around this time last year was when Kendrick Davis entered the portal. So still a lot can happen. I mean, there's a lot. It's a long off season, but either way, 2 good additions over the weekend. We'll see what happens throughout this week and into next week in terms of maybe getting more guys on campus for a visit.
Well, I'm excited. I mean, I am revved up
I can tell.
for Tiger Hoops.
I can tell.
I actually think, and tell me if you agree with this, Tiger fans, 901-360-8255. I actually enjoy the off-season more than the regular season because optimism is never higher than it is right
It's
now.
almost like, do you ever like doing like...
And the Tigers, honestly, there's no better coach and program at winning the offseason than the University of Memphis, and eventually that's going to translate to the regular season, I think,
Well,
at least.
the way how I look at it, you ever like doing, going to your kitchen table, moving everything to the side, and doing a jigsaw puzzle.
Love a
table.
jigsaw. I love it.
I mean, that's what this is. You're just putting pieces together and creating a roster.
That's right.
Right in front of you.
And you have to hope that your jigsaw puzzle
matches their jigsaw puzzle.
Or is more beautiful. How do we compare jigsaw puzzles to other people's jigsaw
complete.
Puzzles?
They
more
didn't
pieces?
they didn't lose a piece somewhere. You know, those little pieces, they get lost.
You have to lose less pieces than your opponents.
Ooh, I like that.
I think we lost the analogy somewhere along the way.
Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little MLB. That's next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? And if you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at LawnSolutionsInc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hi, golfing friends. The 64th year anniversary membership special at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is here. For only $89 a year with a $10 per year admin fee plus tax, get a 2-year anniversary membership at Meadowbrook and enjoy unlimited golf from Tuesday through Sunday. You must call Meadowbrook Country Club today before this special offer is over. Get your $89 membership today. Just go to golfwestmemphisar.com or call 870-394-4186.
Hi, folks, Matt Burton with Sunrise Buick GMC Trucks. Thinking about buying a new or used car or truck? Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from. Factory rebates up to $1,000 and interest rates low as 2.9. Bad credit? It's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. SunriseMemphis.com. We're saving you money. It's just the way you're doing business. Covington, Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville. We make it fun to buy a car again. Check out the all-new Sunrise Truck Corral. Huge selection of nothing but trucks. All makes, all models, all prices, all trucks, all the time. Next to Sunrise Wolf Chase.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus and Jay Morgan Harder with you. We got a lot of baseball action today. One game going on right now, the White Sox versus the Twins. The Sox up 4-3 in the bottom of the ninth inning. Looks like they're going to get a victory in the first game in that series. But we did have a tough injury yesterday. O'Neal Cruz tried to, stretch one out to score. Rounded third, went home to score. Ball came in, a little collision at home. He's going to be out for 4 months with a fractured fibula, I think. So, a tough loss for the Pirates. Pirates team that I've kind of liked watching this year.
Well, they're in second in the Central right now, which is
not. I mean, that doesn't mean much.
Well, it's 9 games. It means 9 games.
Well, who are you competing with? The Cardinals?
They are 1/16th through the season.
Wow.
Approximately.
It's good math.
I think a little less than that, actually.
I'm not going to challenge you.
Well, there's 162 games, you see, and so I'm basically saying 10 games, 1/16th. But it's 9 games, so it's a little less than 1/16th. I do like O'Neal Cruz, though. He is big and tall. You don't see a lot of 6'7" shortstops. I think that he
throws the ball like
he would be the only one.
98 miles an hour from
covers
short
a lot
to
of
first.
ground there.
That's right.
He can pretty much play behind second base now with the new rules
Yeah.
every single play and still cover the shortstop position. So, but he can't because he's hurt. So
yeah, it's too bad.
Hopefully, we'll see him again in 4 months.
Hopefully, but today's sandy day for you. I know.
Well, not for me. For the Marlins.
For the Marlins,
I have no
but
association.
You're excited about it.
I am. I'm excited to beat those stinking Phillies on the road. I'm terrified that the Marlins are favored today. That's ridiculous. I know the Phillies have started terribly, and they're not pitching a particularly good pitcher today. I don't even think this guy's thrown all year. It might be a bullpen day.
He is a bullpen guy.
So it's a bullpen day for the Phillies in that regard. But the Marlins can't score, and so I'm a little scared about that.
Yeah.
Some other good games today.
A lot of good games.
Graham Ashcraft is pitching. That's a dangerous word to say on
Sure
the
is.
on the
For
on
the
radio.
Reds.
Yeah, he's pitching for the Reds today. They play the Braves. You can watch that on your Bally service here in town. You can also watch the Cardinals tonight against
the Rockies.
Germain Marquez.
There you go.
Throwing tonight, and
I think there's gonna be a lot of runs in that game.
The Cardinals are marching out Steven Matz, and so they're going to lose that game.
Don't say that.
The over-under for that game is 11.5.
No way.
The largest over-under I've seen all season.
Holy cow. I think it still goes over.
You think they're daring you to take over?
Yeah, but I also said that for the Grizzlies-Portland game, that they were daring me to take the Grizzlies minus 17.5.
You did.
And I did. And they were not.
They didn't.
Yeah. So
too bad. They did cover that 9-point spread we talked about on Friday, though, against the Bucks not starting anybody.
That's right.
So they covered that one. I think by 1 point they won by 10,
really?
Right, or 11 or 12,
something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
But I didn't.
Oh, you
I didn't back the Grizz.
PTSD from your 17-point spread.
PTSD. But today in this game, the White Sox just won 4-3.
Great news.
But
Dylan Cease gets the dub, 2-0.
Yeah, he is, and good start to the season for him.
Very.
Only 1 earned run today, 6 strikeouts. But Kenta Maeda started for the Twins and talked about Sandy Alcantara.
Maeda. Not your Ada. He's Maeda.
Maeda. He said that he was completely gassed when they played the Marlins because of how fast the innings were going. That was the game that took 1 hour and 59 minutes.
That's right. Well, that's what happens when one of the teams can't hit, you know? And actually, it turned out neither of the teams could hit because the other one was pitching the reigning Cy Young winner.
Well, and that's what he was saying because I didn't know this. I was reading a whole story about it. Last year, before the pitch clock became a thing, Sandy averaged 15.5 seconds between pitches with bases empty and 22.1 seconds between pitches with a runner on. So he naturally, I mean, you can just watch him and tell he naturally works fast, but I didn't know it was that fast. Even before the pitch clock. And so he talked about that it really wasn't a big change for him. Like he was ready for it when they put the pitch clock in. So he didn't have to make a lot of adjustments in the offseason like a lot of other pitchers did. And so he's going out there and just sitting people down left and right. Maeda is going in, he's going out, pitching, comes in, sits down. 2 minutes later, he's got to go back out there and throw.
No rest for the weary. You don't even have time to put on your jacket.
That's right.
To warm your arm up. They always like to keep their arm warm.
Maybe that's like a extra dynamic.
Well, there was also
for
an incident.
Sandy.
There was also an incident last week where Tim Anderson was ejected for arguing about a pitch clock situation.
Really?
So
I missed that.
They're playing the Giants. Logan Webb pitches for the Giants. Right? So Logan Webb is pitching against him for the Giants. He the bat's going a little fast for him. So Tim Anderson calls time. After he calls time, he gets in the box. And because he called time, Logan Webb is just kind of waiting. So right when he gets in the box, there's 10 seconds left. That's when you're good to go. You don't have, there's no unwritten rules or anything like that.
You're right.
Logan Webb pitches, and he felt that Logan Webb quick pitched him. And so then he's yelling at Logan Webb.
Right.
and he gets in the box again, but he doesn't get in there with 10 seconds left. And so he gets a pitch clock violation. So
Right.
if he feels like he's quick pitched, he's yelling about it, gets a pitch clock violation, yells at the umpire about it, and gets ejected.
And gets tossed. Wow.
So there's a player that does not, a batter
Like
instance,
the pitch clock.
that does not like the pitch clock
And then Juan
violation.
Soto last night on the ESPN broadcast, they, I guess, did a sit-down with him and Ronald Acuna, maybe. And he flat out said he doesn't like the pitch clock.
He does not.
And then Drew Jones tweeted it on Twitter and said, I don't like the pitch clock either.
Well, when the
But
pitchers,
he's like single A. Who cares about him?
when the pitchers are as good as they are at this level, I don't really care one way or another right now. I'm just kind of watching it play out in real time,
Yeah.
and then maybe I can form an opinion after a little bit larger sample size. But it seems to me at this point, when these pitchers are as good as they are, especially the pitchers of the highest degree, it's a huge advantage for them.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a giant advantage.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no like, when you know someone's called a time, you can throw the ball. Like we're saying, he felt like Logan Webb quick pitched him. Well, you can do that.
Yeah.
That's in the rules now because
Literally
you're
what they
not
want you to do.
because you're not allowed to step out. So it's a huge advantage for pitchers in that way. You know, I'm sure batters will adjust, but it seems like right now under is the play. A lot of people thought that it might affect the pitchers negatively, and you might see games with more runs. It might produce more runs in that way. Seems like it's a huge advantage for pitching right now.
Seems like. I did see, though, when did Clayton Kershaw pitch? Saturday?
Sure. I don't know.
I think it was Friday or Saturday. Clayton Kershaw's pitching against the D-backs, and the pitch clock's winding down. And so he comes set extremely fast and jumps off of his back leg and throws the ball like a jump throw. And everyone was like, what was that? And so I think everyone's still trying to get adjusted to it. But I said it last week. It hasn't really affected me much. I see no effect in my viewing of the game. I know a lot of fans were worried about how it was going to change that.
Yeah,
but
it's not affecting me watching it, but
No.
I can see how the players are having to adjust to
affected
it in a certain way.
Yeah, so, but hopefully we're 2 weeks down now. Hopefully a month and a half in, we can everyone can be settled and kind of.
Is that right? A week and a half.
Is it a week and a half?
Yeah,
Okay.
2 Thursdays ago, right?
Yeah, I guess that's
so
right.
not quite. So we're coming up on 2 weeks.
Coming up on 2 weeks, so maybe
1/16 the way through the season.
So hopefully they'll figure it out soon. But we'll just have to wait and see. But let's go ahead, wrap up this hour, get to a break. When we come back to start the 4 o'clock hour, David Cobb from CBS Sports joins us to talk some college basketball and college football. That's next.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop, here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
People sometimes ask why neither Sunrise location is open for dinner, and the answer is simple. Being the best two places in Memphis to get breakfast or lunch served fast and fresh made just for you is a hard enough job without tackling dinner too. The idea of just being open for lunch and dinner is so that people at both Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise East on Poplar can concentrate on doing what they do best and doing it better than anybody else. Sunrise is only open for breakfast and lunch because that's the kind of dedication you deserve.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Spilled your milkshake? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand. So you can get back to your milkshake.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commissions, sales leads, and a great place to work. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flinn.com. Start your career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Jay Morgan Harder with you. Brett Norsworthy not in today, but he'll be back tomorrow with us for the rest of the week. But joining us now, like he always does on Mondays, David Cobb from CBS Sports, talking some college basketball and college football with us. David, thanks for joining us. The transfer portal continues to move on, and Memphis added a pair of transfers over the weekend in 6'3" guard Caleb Mills from Florida State and 6'9" Division II transfer guard Jonathan Pierre from Nova Southeastern. What do you think about these two additions for Coach Hardaway and his staff?
Well, I'm glad you called Caleb Mills 6'3" because I've heard a lot of people referring to him as 6'5", which honestly, like you might think, oh, that didn't make much of a difference, but it kind of does make a difference. And he's a good player. I have him ranked number 30 in my transfer rankings, which if you're even on that list, it means you're one of the highest impact transfers potentially in the country. So a great pickup for Memphis. But I do think it's important. He is 6'3", not 6'5". When you hear 6'5", you start envisioning this great like two-way player, elite defender, maybe can have some of that versatility. He's the size of a normal point guard, but plays more of a combo guard type of role. And the guy's been through the AAC before. I mean, he began his career at Houston, and he was actually the AAC player, preseason player of the year before the 2021 season. And it didn't work out. He was a little injured, ended up going to Florida State. So anyway, the guy's been around. He's been in some systems that really prioritize defense, yet he has managed in those systems to score at a pretty high clip. So that's a good pickup, especially considering who else is going to be in that backcourt from Memphis. You think about a true freshman in Mikey Williams. I'd probably like to have a veteran to put next to him, and Caleb Mills checks that box. So I like the idea of them being in that backcourt together and it not being two real young players back there as your starting guard. So I'm sure Caleb Mills is coming with the impression he'll be a starter. I would imagine, given his track record, that he will be. Then with Pierre, a D2 guy, you just never know. But statistically speaking, it looks like a good pickup because the guy is 6'9" and can really shoot from the outside. And that Nova Southeastern program that he's coming from is really good at the Division II level, and I think that matters as well. So, yeah, interesting pickup there. You just never know how it's going to translate with somebody like that. But, my gosh, if you've got good guards like Mills and Mikey Williams who are able to break defenders down off the dribble, and then you got a 6'9" guy out there on the wing who can hit shots. I think that's some good building blocks for Penny Hardaway. There's no Kendrick Davis committed as part of this transfer class so far, but I mean, I would say that Caleb Mills is a step up versus a Keontae Kennedy or a DeMarie Franklin. He's going to be a little bit higher caliber transfer than those guys were.
Well, I like the programs he's been in, that's for sure. I'll stay on this topic with Bryant then with you. I saw you tweeted earlier today, you were talking about the best rim protectors that are in the portal, and I saw that Musa Cisse was on the list, a former Tiger. Obviously, maybe some PTSD there coming back to Memphis, stuff like that. I think you ranked them in terms of blocks. Is that right? And are those rankings, the guys you named there, you could probably speak a little more in depth with them, are those reflective of the bigs that you have, the top bigs in the transfer portal? Because it seems to me, based on these two transfers that Memphis got right now, Memphis is still in the market for a center or someone that can play in the post.
Yeah, for sure. So there are some really good shot blockers out there still. Musa Cisse is among them. Of course, been at Oklahoma State now for the past couple seasons. The guys I listed today on Twitter are not on my overarching list of the top transfers in the sport. That list has become pretty guard heavy, to be honest. Hunter Dickinson is number one out of Michigan. He's a big, three-time All Big Ten performer. Clearly, in my opinion, the best player in the transfer portal. 7-footer who can block shots, step out and shoot the three. Just sort of a fringe NBA prospect, which is why he's still going to be playing college basketball, it would appear. But for the most part, the best players I see in the portal right now, the highest impact guys, some of those who have already committed, our guards and our backcourt players. But I put that out there just as a reminder that there are some really good defensive bigs in the portal. So we all saw who Musa Cisse was a few years back. He's gotten better, but he's just not a high-impact offensive player for you. So the others that I have on that list, Jamarion Sharp, 7'5" from Western Kentucky, Caden Shedrick, who's going to announce soon out of Virginia, and then one who I'm really curious about, Ugana Onyenso out of Kentucky, who barely got to play this past year because obviously they had Oscar Tshiebwe at the 5. But when he did play, that guy was blocking shots at an unbelievable clip. So that's to say is that if Memphis is in the market for a rim protector, and I think they should be because that was kind of something they lacked this past year, there's some good options out there. There's some guys who can really block shots and protect the rim. Yeah. And it's not all that uncommon anymore to see a player bounce back to where they began their career. So I have no intel on whether or not that may be in the cards with Musa Cisse. It seems unlikely, I would say, but that there are good shot blockers available in the transfer portal. You just have to understand that when you go out and get the guy who could average 3 blocks a game, you're probably giving something up in terms of what he can do for you offensively.
I think my favorite thing you said there, David, is in your top transfer rankings, they're all guards. You're joining me in my war. I'm raging against unskilled bigs, and I just commend you for your work in that department.
I know, right? Well, you just go and look around college basketball. I mean, it's a time-honored trope, right, that the guards are those the players who win you the games in March. And, the best bigs actually do have skill. That's why, I thought Zach Edey was so good this past year. He wasn't just tall. It doesn't take any talent or skill to be tall. Anybody who's 7'5" can go out there and block shots.
Right.
It does take skill, though, to not foul. It does take skill to be able to catch the basketball on offense and dunk the basketball, right? You have to be able to catch it before you can dunk it. A lot of tall guys can't catch the ball. And then you have to shoot better than 50% from the free throw line, or else you're going to be a total offensive liability. And I used to get so mad growing up. I was always so small, right? But I love basketball. And there would be all these players with these physical gifts out there, mainly height. And they just didn't really love basketball. They couldn't catch it. No skill, right? And I'm like, man, give me your frame, your physique, and we'll make a player, right? Yeah. But anyway, no, I'm with you, Jay. I think there's a lack of skill among a lot of bigs in college basketball in particular. But if that's the case, then your career ends at college basketball. You don't make the NBA because you can't just go and be tall in the NBA and have a home. You got to be skilled too. So. I'm kind of biased towards the guards a little bit, but I really do believe they're the ones who end up making the biggest impact as transfers in the sport.
Yeah. You talked about the guards. Caleb Love was a big name in the transfer portal. He committed to Michigan last week. Were you surprised by that decision?
Well, not stunned, because if Hunter Dickinson is truly leaving Michigan, as he's indicated, he's in the portal. They need help desperately at Michigan next season. So this was a down year for the Wolverines when really it shouldn't have been. I mean, they've got Kobe Buffkin and Jet Howard going to the draft. Both those guys could be drafted. Jet Howard almost certainly will be. And then they've got Hunter Dickinson, a multi-year All-Big Ten performer, yet Michigan fell well short of expectations, did not make the NCAA tournament. So this offseason is huge for Juwan Howard. So the fact that he's gone out there and gotten a guy like Caleb Love is tremendously important because he can go out and get you buckets from the backcourt in a way that they haven't really had recently. So they've been so oriented around Dickinson, and now maybe we're going to see a Michigan team that's a little bit more guard-oriented next season. Now, ultimately, Caleb Love has to get more efficient, or else it's not really going to work. But maybe if they play a more guard-oriented system at Michigan than they have under Hubert Davis and Roy Williams over the years at UNC, then maybe that opens the floor up for him. Maybe he can kind of find that five-star talent that we've always heard of and seen flashes of with Caleb Love.
Talking to David Cobb from CBS Sports. Florida Atlantic, obviously, their run was incredible in the NCAA tournament, but now they've locked up Dusty May to a 10-year contract extension. And from the players' side, I mean, after, I guess, while they were still in the tournament, and even right when they got eliminated, all the talk was that their roster was going to be completely turned over because of the transfer portal. A lot of these guys were going to go to bigger schools, but we really haven't heard anything from the players. I think one guy entered
Elijah Martin.
He entered his name in the draft. I think he still has the option to come back to Florida Atlantic. What do you think about what this team can be next year, and do you think that there is that chance that most of these guys return?
I mean, Florida Atlantic keeps answering the bell. Like, every doubt that I have about them, they continue to respond to that. Like, I was way skeptical of Florida Atlantic after the first weekend because, you know, it was a toss-up game that they won against Memphis. And I was like, okay, well, then get the 16 seed, right? Fairleigh Dickinson in the second round. And so I was very skeptical of them going to New York City, the regional semifinals there, playing against some high-caliber competition in Tennessee and Kansas State. They answered the bell again, and then they take San Diego State down to the wire in the Final Four game. They keep Dusty May. They've staved off the mass exodus that I suspected might happen. Right. So every turn for Florida Atlantic, they've risen to the occasion here. So yeah, I think they are going to bring most of this group back. And again, though, I will cast doubt. I'll be the hater and say that it's going to be hard for them to get back to the NCAA tournament because you've got to win so many games when you're in a non-power conference, which is kind of what the AAC is going to be now moving forward. And it's just the weight of expectations, the burden of expectations, all the eyes that are going to be on them, that's going to be pressure. We saw it with the Cinderella Final Four run of North Carolina 2 years ago now, right? They brought almost everybody back from that team except for Brady Manick, and they were the preseason #1 team, and they didn't even make the NCAA tournament. So, and that's with an ACC schedule and some really good multi-team events early in the year that gave them all the opportunities in the world to build a resume. Florida Atlantic isn't going to have those opportunities. I mean, Memphis is going to be good. UAB is going to be good. North Texas is going to be good. Maybe Wichita State can take a step forward in this new AAC. But ultimately, they're just going to have to be nearly flawless to build that at-large resume. And that's a huge ask, a tall order. So it definitely helps that they get Dusty May locked down. They get most of that roster probably coming back. But I just feel like we need to temper our expectations for Florida Atlantic. Like, I'm okay with, like, top 25, but I'm more like 23, 24 instead of thinking that they ought to be up there at number 5. So, again, this is me doubting them. They've answered every doubt that I've had about them. I just feel like we might be putting too many expectations on them going into the next season.
How does the changing of the guard, or how does the moving around of schools and the changing of conferences and leagues and stuff like that, how does that affect how many bids the league will get? Like, for instance, the American last year, a two-bid league, right? And so losing Houston, a perennial championship contender, and then adding FAU, who did make it into the tournament last year. Is this still a two-bid league necessarily? Does the tournament look differently? Does the Big 12, do the power conferences now get more bids? Or because kind of the makeup of college basketball, the American, no matter the construction, are they always a two-bid league? How does it appear to you?
Well, they've got a chance. The American actually has a chance to like have a better middle class next season than it has the past few, because your Wichita States, your Cincinnati's, your UCF, those teams have like really struggled the past few seasons to reach their standard, right? Like UCF nearly beat Duke when they had Zion, and you're like, okay, Johnny Dawkins has it figured out, and then it turns out they didn't. And Wichita State, obviously, so much success under Greg Marshall, and you expect that to continue. It all has unraveled there, and now they're undergoing they're going to have their third head coach the last 4 or 5 seasons now next season, with Paul Mills coming over from Oral Roberts. And then obviously, like, Cincinnati's out of the league now, UCF out of the league. I honestly feel like you lose Houston, but you might add more decent teams, like more teams that actually have a chance to get to 20 wins. I mean, UAB, FAU, North Texas, Charlotte, yeah, those are like decent basketball programs that help mitigate the blow that you're going to take by losing Houston. So maybe on the whole, you go on the road against some of these teams and you're talking about quad 2 games, Yeah. But when Rice and UTSA, when they come to Memphis, I see that being at best a quad 3, and on maybe a quad 4. So it's probably still a 2-bid league. You're probably talking about a league champion and one other team that gets in at large. And the cream of that crop is probably going to be Memphis, FAU, UAB next season, because now North Texas has lost Grant McCaslin to Texas Tech. I'd say the wild card in all of it, though, Wichita State. If Paul Mills can get Max Asmus to transfer from Oral Roberts to Wichita State, he's my number 2 ranked transfer, and that man has shown the ability to win year after year after year at Oral Roberts, and he comes from that Scott Drew tree that has produced Jerome Tang, So Wichita State, to me, is the wild card. Wichita State, if they rise, I think the league rises with them. But if not, at best, I see it being a 2-bid league next season.
Yeah, if they can get Max Asmus to Wichita State, that would be insane with what that fan base has shown in Wichita. That'd be a fun year for them. But I do want to ask, I think a couple weeks ago I asked you about this offseason for Alabama and everything that they have to replace. But I want to go to another school, Gonzaga. Drew Timme not coming back next year. Today, Julian Strawther announced that he was going to go to the NBA draft. Hunter Salas earlier, I think last week or the week before, entered the transfer portal. How big of an offseason is this going to be for Mark Few?
And are they going to get Andrew Nembhard's brother?
Oh, that's a great question.
That is seems to be a possibility floating around out there, right? But you got to remember, too, that one of the connections that brought Andrew Nembhard from Florida to Gonzaga was Tommy Lloyd, and he's at Arizona now. So maybe look out for Arizona, because Arizona lost Kirk Kriisa, who's going to West Virginia. So they've got an opening at point guard as well. So there might be a little recruiting battle going on there between Mark Few and his former protege at Arizona and Tommy Lloyd. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I'm sure Gonzaga is going to get a point guard out of the portal. They have to. Like, their guard play has been so disappointing, to be honest, the last few seasons. And you lose Salas to the portal. I don't know how much of a loss that honestly is, but make no mistake, losing Drew Timme and Julian Strawther in the same offseason is brutal. Yeah. And you go and look at their recruiting class. They've got a shooter, Dusty Stromer, who was in the McDonald's game, but he's not going to come in and be what Julian Strawther was for you overnight, especially not in terms of the defensive impact and some of the playmaking stuff. So, Mark Hughes got to do some work in the portal. And I think all the questions about whether or not Gonzaga's dynasty has staying power on the national scene, I think those are relevant and quality questions to be asking right now, because this program, this team, isn't going to have that highbrow, elite-level talent that we've become used to over the past several seasons. So interesting times out there at a place in Spokane where it might be difficult to keep up in the NIL arms race.
David Cobb joining us from CBSSports.com. He covers college basketball, and he also covers college football. And I say that because I'm going to ask him another college basketball question, but he does a great job of covering college football, too, so you need to follow him for that as well. However, last week, I became aware of a player I had never seen nor heard of before. His name is Bobby Klintman from Wake Forest. He declared for the NBA draft, and I saw just a few clips of him. And he's 6'10". He's got a really neat skill set, really cool player to watch. I feel like he could be a really under-the-radar draft pick. What do you think about him, and is there another under-the-radar players that have declared for the draft that you think can make a lot of noise next season in the NBA as well?
Yeah. A under-the-radar guy from Wake Forest sounds somebody that might be up the Grizzlies' alley, perhaps. Hopefully Klintman works out a little better as a rookie than Jake LaRavia has. I mean, maybe we're not ready to throw in the towel yet on LaRavia. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting, right? Like these guys who do nothing in college basketball or very little of significance. To be clear, Jake LaRavia was significant in college. He was really good for Wake Forest last year. But Bobby Klintman, to your point, Jay, yeah, somebody totally under the radar, just a bit player rotation guy for Wake Forest, but because of the frame and the skill set, all of a sudden becomes of interest to the NBA. So, yeah, there's always those under the radar guys. He's probably the best example in this year's class. But you go down the list, I mean, somebody who sticks out to me in that regard would be like Dylan Mitchell from Texas. He was super highly touted as a prospect, but like if all you did was watch college basketball this past year and then you turn on your TV on draft night and you see him going in the draft, you'll be like, well, what in the world? How does that happen? Because he barely contributed in the second half of the season for Texas. So it's all about, what the NBA values in terms of like skill set, size, role, fit, all those sort of things. So yeah, Klintman is by far the most like obscure, like high major college guy who's maybe going to get a look at the next level, but he won't be the only one who fits that criteria.
Well, since Jay wanted to tease your college football prowess and then not ask a question, I'll ask a college football question because spring practice going on for most every college football program right now, and this weekend is really the first Saturday where we have a lot of spring games for a lot of these schools. What are some of the teams you're kind of keeping an eye on through spring training? I know Texas has their spring game this week, and a lot of people want to see Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, but what are some of these programs that you really think need to have a big spring?
Yeah, that's a good quarterback battle, and there's a few others that really stick out to me. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, all having quarterback battles. That, to me, makes for a relatively interesting spring. As interesting as college football spring practice can be, when you've got like three of the biggest brands in the sport with quarterback battles, that to me warrants some attention because think about it, going into last season, all three of those programs knew who their starting quarterback was going to be. You had Stetson Bennett, Bryce Young, and C.J. Stroud, all of whom ended up at the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Well, this year, those guys are gone. And you mentioned Texas has another high-profile quarterback battle. Those are the best stories of spring football because sometimes you get a starter name coming out of the spring, and oftentimes that can lead to a transfer. So I'm especially curious to see, how does Steve Sarkisian handle that situation with Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, because he can't give the reins to Arch Manning as a true freshman that early on and run off a former 5-star, number 1 overall prospect from the state of Texas in Quinn Ewers. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic for him to juggle there. I'm sure Arch Manning fully understood the realities of that situation going in. But some of these other schools that I mentioned, you might see some more movement, I guess, in terms of guys not winning the battle in the spring and then going into the portal, or the head coaches there saying, oh, yeah, we're going to let this battle play out in the fall camp, even if in the back of their mind they already know who the starter is going to be. You might see them play it like that just to keep the other guy around for the start of next season. So those are probably my most interesting college football storylines because, hey, guess what? Like, if those guys, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, if they can't find suitable replacements for their Heisman Trophy finalists at quarterback, well, might be a little shakeup at the top of the sport this year in terms of some other teams who are able to go out and make some noise if those schools struggle out of the gates and can't get it figured out with new guys under center.
There was an interesting omission there from you, as you didn't talk about the quarterback battle in the orange and white game up in Knoxville this weekend. Is there a quarterback battle in Knoxville?
Similar in some ways to Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. Like, I'm not suggesting that Joe Milton is Quinn Ewers, but that guy has had a relationship with Josh Heupel for years. Josh Heupel tried to recruit him to UCF back in the day before he committed to Michigan.
Really?
And now he's waited 2 years at Tennessee back with Heupel. I don't see any scenario where Joe Milton doesn't begin the season as Tennessee's starting quarterback because he's waited his turn. There's something to be said for that. And Nico is a true freshman. And you just don't see true freshmen handed the keys immediately. But I definitely believe there's a chance for Nico to play as a true freshman and maybe even more than that 4 games that you typically see with a true freshman where they can maintain their red shirt. Because you're talking about a guy who I'm sure has aspirations of going to the NFL draft after 3 years. So what good does the red shirt actually do you? And we've seen enough of Joe Milton's inaccuracies and shortcomings over the years to think that, you know what, maybe as that season goes along, Heupel might be tempted to unleash Nico. But, man, going into the season, I would be stunned if Joe Milton is not the starting quarterback at Tennessee.
If the $8 million that Nico's getting is true, that's a crazy storyline as well that they have to deal with up there in having, like you said, a true freshman. Joe Milton has waited and he's seasoned and all these other things. And then you have this guy making reportedly $8 million sitting on the bench developing nonetheless. One more football question for you, then I think we got to get you out of here. Hugh Freeze, I saw last week, said that he wants spring games to be against opponents, like namely in-state smaller opponents. He said, let Alabama play Troy and we'll play UAB or vice versa. What are your thoughts about that? Does that have actually any viability?
Oh, yeah, I'm all for that because it gets the bye game out of the way in April because it gets the pockets padded for the in-state directional school. You know, we often see that game either in week 2, week 1, or then in the SEC sometime in like mid-November. Nobody enjoys that game. Nobody likes having that game as part of their season ticket package. But if you make it the spring game, one, it makes the spring game way more interesting because you're actually keeping score, playing a real game. 2, it gets that in-state directional school a nice payday. And then 3, it actually gives your team some live reps against a scheme that they haven't seen before. Like when you go to the spring game, you've been practicing against those same guys on the other side for 6 weeks, and you know exactly what they do. But if you actually play an FCS opponent from in your state, you might get a different look. You might be challenged. You'll definitely put on a better show for your fans. So I'm all for that because hopefully that gets us out of this cycle of playing FCS teams every fall, play them in the spring instead, and then put out a better product for the fans.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting idea that I think the way you spin it, at least, I'd be all in for it.
Look at Hugh
I love it. Spring games stink right now. Like, they're the worst. I mean, honestly. Like, I'll watch these that have quarterback battles, but even then I'll be like, oh, well, that was boring.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it makes college football more relevant at a time in the calendar when it can be, right? Because right now, college basketball's over.
Yeah.
So there's some bandwidth for fans to pay attention to football. Especially if you're not a big baseball school. But anyway, no, I think it's a good idea. I'd love to see Hugh Freeze put his money where his mouth is and actually try it.
I would love it too. But David, we got to get you out of here. Thanks for joining us. We didn't even get to the CW and Pac-12 maybe talking about media rights. We'll have to talk to you about that next week.
And we didn't get to hear your thoughts on the University of Miami football program either. So we'll have to do that next week as well.
Next week.
I'm sure we will, Jay. I'm sure we will. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave. That's David Cobb from CBS Sports covering college basketball and college football.
Hugh Freeze revolutionizing the sport.
I guess so.
I mean, that's who should be on the head of the college football committee is Hugh Freeze, not all these other pencil-pushing bureaucrats.
I think that's the perfect Hugh Freeze. Perfect
Get stuff
person.
done, Hugh Freeze.
That's right. But let's go ahead, get to a break. When we come back, Jay Morgan's been itching to talk about the NBA in the upcoming playoffs. We'll do that next.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app. or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
I know you're thinking about pools and patios right now. Don't deny it. They're on your mind. So it's a good thing that Family Leisure is having their preseason patio and pool sale. It's like they're mind readers. You can buy now and save big with the area's largest selection of patio furniture. You want free layaway? Done. You want special financing? Done. You want to be ready to enjoy your backyard just as soon as spring hits? Family Leisure has you covered. Patio and pool season's not that far away. So now's the time to take advantage of this fantastic early bird pricing special. Now here comes the really special part. If you mention this commercial, you get half off delivery and installation. I'll let that sink in for a second. You heard me right, my friends. You mentioned this very commercial, and Family Leisure will give you half off delivery and installation. The preseason patio and pool sale is happening now at Family Leisure, Witten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. And the NBA regular season came to an end yesterday afternoon. The NBA playoffs are set, and the play-in games will begin tomorrow night, where the Grizzlies will learn their opponent for the first round of games. But before we get into playoff talk, yesterday it was announced that the Pistons are going to move on from Dwayne Casey. He's going to be moved to the front office for, I guess, at least a year. He's under contract for one more year. But I saw some names. The Athletic, they have a Pistons beat writer who put out candidates for the opening now that it's opening. And some of the names that I thought were somewhat interesting. Would you like to hear them?
No, I'm just kidding. I would love to hear them.
First being Jerry Stackhouse.
I like Stack.
The second, Kevin Ollie.
I like Kevin Ollie.
You know what Kevin Ollie's been doing the past 2 years? I didn't know this.
It's a show cause.
Yeah, but like, do you know what he's doing right now, like in terms of work?
Oh, I assume collecting checks.
No,
What's he
well,
doing?
he is doing that, but he is also like the president or president of development for Overtime Elite. So working with a lot of young guys still, seemingly almost college age guys. And then the last one, Jay Wright. There were other names in there, but those were the three that jumped off the page, to me at least.
I wonder where those names came from.
That's what I wondered. I don't know.
I think that just might be, I mean, I've never been a writer, but I think it might just kind of be one of those things where you were asked to write an article about this. You're not a reporter, so you can't just say,
this is what I've heard.
Well, you said he was a beat writer, though.
That's what it said on there, was the beat writer for the...
Well, maybe he's heard it then. Maybe those are people that people have said they are looking at to bring in.
To me, it screamed...
These are just the first names I can think of.
These are guys that have successfully dealt with college players. And the Pistons...
Or played for Detroit.
Or played for Detroit.
Or both, actually.
Or both. But also, the Pistons are incredibly young and will seemingly add another top 3 pick this year.
Yeah.
And these are guys that are all basically college-age guys. You bring in a coach like that who can develop these guys and kind of has dealt with these age guys in the past.
Then Kevin Ollie was never... He played for pretty much every team in the league. He was never a Piston.
Really?
How about that?
Wow.
He was a Supersonic.
That's fun.
But he wasn't a Piston.
Not a Piston.
He was a Timberwolf. He was a Milwaukee Buck, so he's up in that vicinity.
But not a Piston.
But he was never a Piston.
James L. Edwards was the fellow that wrote this, a staff writer for The Athletic covering the Detroit Pistons. So it doesn't say a beat writer. Right. It just says a staff writer covering the Detroit Pistons.
So he could just be, he was just asked to, had to do more than report because he's not a reporter. Probably just naming names that just sound good. Jerry Stackhouse played for the Pistons. So
the other names on this
college
list.
Coach.
Yeah. The other names on this list, Charles Lee.
Chuck.
Who is the associate head coach to Mike Budenholzer at Milwaukee. So that's, that could be a possible candidate. Ime Udoka is also a name on the list.
He's going to get tossed out for every job until he takes one again.
Yes. Sean Sweeney, who is currently an assistant under Jason Kidd in Dallas. And Rex Calamane, who is already an assistant for the Pistons.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if Pistons get healthy, too, that could step in a huge direction.
Great job, really, for a lot of different coaches.
You have to look at them taking a defensive step.
Yes.
Generally, that comes with age.
But they seem to have the talent.
Yeah, it's not like they're the Rockets that forego defense entirely. 2 years ago with a young team, a little bit more experience, I think, 2 years ago, but still a young team overall, a very good defensive team. And then this past year, They were not a good defensive team, but pretty much other than Bojan Bogdanovic, their depth and their starters, especially when Cade Cunningham got hurt.
I was about to say, he hasn't played in
months.
Almost all season.
That's right. So you get him back, you get a lot better. You saw a lot of development with young players. I think the big jump is going to probably take place, I would say probably around Christmas time on the defensive end. I expected the Pistons, quite frankly, to take that jump. Take that jump this year.
But you also assumed Cade Cunningham would play the whole season.
Well, I also overlooked their youth, and that's a key part in getting better on defense.
Right.
So I could see them taking a jump next year and getting a lot better.
And
they got a lot of good players, man.
That's a way better job than Houston as a head coach.
Yeah, undoubtedly. You also have something that every team in the league is looking for, which is a starter that's physical at the 5 position and a backup that's physical and big at the 5 position. And it seems to me that the Pistons of all, well, I throw James Wiseman out there too.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even consider James Wiseman in there.
So much better when he got moved to Detroit.
Yeah,
he did. You can't argue that.
You have to. You're right. I would like to see him play that way when they're competitive too.
Yes,
because there's also touting him and Isaiah Stewart and him and Duren out there together, and I don't know the viability of that long term either. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Enough talk
they
about
could
teams
also get
not
the
in the
number
playoffs.
1 pick.
They could get the number 1.
But you're right. Yeah, we got to get to the NBA playoffs. Where do you want to start? I kind of want to start with this
tank for Wemby.
That's right.
I say tank for Scoot though.
You do. You're a Scoot guy. What's going on with the T-Wolves? Could be Grizzly opponent.
They're injured.
Seems like everything is falling apart.
Well, I actually think the Timberwolves. I said this
They're
earlier.
better without Rudy.
Well, I didn't say that. Well, maybe
I saw
did.
that on Twitter.
Maybe I did say that, but I don't actually believe that. Although I do think Rudy Gobert's a bum. We can talk more about that later. The guy was celebrated as Defensive Player of the Year 3 times.
Yeah.
He was celebrated as the best Defensive Player in the Year 3 times. And this is somehow a fraternity that the Grizzlies fans want one of their franchise players to be a part of. It's ridiculous. The award is a joke, and it was a joke long before this season. It's a joke award. Rudy Gobert's best Defensive Player in the league. That guy can't even guard his position. He can't guard anything. Forget it.
Block shots. He's long.
An aside. I think the Timberwolves, of all the teams in the play-in, the playoffs, all the teams in the postseason, I think the Timberwolves have dealt with more injuries over the whole season than any of these teams. Not to say one player being out for a long time, but it seems like every time a player comes back, a player goes out, every time he's about to come back, another player goes down. And it's over all 5 positions. That's happened all year long. They've had a lot of guys step up, and I think they have the depth to do so. Kyle Anderson was brought there to be a role bench player. He started so much of the season and played significant minutes so much of the season because of all these injuries at different positions too. He stepped up when the Grizzlies had their road trip going up to Minnesota. Kyle Anderson started those games. He put up he had like 30 against the Grizzlies earlier this year. So you saw Kyle Anderson step up. You saw other players step up from off the bench. So I think if any team is equipped to deal with a player being suspended or their best defensive player being hurt,
it's T-Wolves.
It's the T-Wolves. So I don't necessarily think they'll win a series. I don't even think they'll necessarily beat the Lakers. But let's say they lose to the Lakers and they beat either the Pelicans or the Thunder. I think they'll be huge underdogs in all of their games against the Nuggets.
Denver,
And I think that would be, if you're a gambling person that likes to bet on the NBA and is looking to bet on the playoffs, I think big margins of big margin underdogs for the Timberwolves, that would be a good opportunity to gamble on them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to win the game, but just to cover those
spreads. Spread action.
Those are going to be close games.
What series, when you kind of saw everything set last night or this morning, what was kind of the matchup that jumped off the page to you in the first round?
Well, we're looking. I'm going to name all of them.
Okay.
Because they all jump off the page.
What are you going to start, West or East?
I'm going to start with the West.
Okay.
I'm just going to go kind of in order here in front of me. The Suns against the Clippers is interesting to me. No Paul George for the Clippers, presumably. We haven't, I don't think, heard official word, but there's no way he plays. You saw him hyperextend that knee.
Yeah.
He ain't playing.
No. It's unfortunate.
And the Suns obviously got a lot better. They're a really good team. 2 perennial MVPs on their team. One that has won it, one that probably will win it before the end of his career against the Clippers. And you might dismiss the Clippers with no Paul George, but Kawhi Leonard has already won 1 NBA championship on one leg.
That's true.
Not by himself. He had good Fred VanVleet. He had good players around him.
But he didn't have any
Kyle Lowry was a
stars.
starter.
That's true.
But he has Russell Westbrook on this team that's playing a lot better since he's been with the Clippers. They have good talent around them, I think. I wouldn't count them out. That'll be a good series in and of itself. I'm excited to see what Kawhi does against the Suns. And we saw the Suns have a disappointing exit last year against the Mavericks, getting blown out in Game 7 of that series. So maybe look for the Suns to bounce back. Excited about Sacramento and the Warriors. The Warriors are finally fully healthy.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins coming back. This is a team that is way better. If you're going to rank them 1 through 8, they are a lot better than 6th.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge matchup that the Kings have to get.
And presumably, Grizzlies win the first round. They'd play the winner of that matchup.
They would. And for my money, I think the Warriors are the better team there. But the Sacramento's played really good. They have a lot more playoff experience than people give them credit for. Harrison Barnes has won an NBA championship already. They have good depth off the bench, a lot of veteran players. So it's not like this young team that just played hard every game and won. They have young players. They're good on defense, and they have a really good offensive game. They've been a problem for, namely, the Grizzlies in a lot of games this year. They're going to be a problem in the playoffs. Then on the East, I'll do my best series last.
Okay.
I think the Nets. We talked to Keith Smith last week. I think the Sixers, I hold them in high esteem up there with the Bucks and Celtics. Keith thinks they're a tier below, and I think he's probably right, even though I want the Sixers to be at that level. I think the Nets are a sneaky good team. Mikal Bridges is probably the best on-ball defender in basketball, and he's also a really good offensive player as well. Cam Johnson has propensity to go off any given time.
Yeah.
They have good bench. Cam Thomas scored 40 multiple games this year. I don't think they have enough to compete with the Sixers, but if the Sixers are as overrated as people seem they are, that could be a more competitive series than people think. And then finally, the best series I think in the first round as it stands right now is the Knicks and the Cavs.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
My heart loves the Knicks.
Yeah,
I like
you're a
Brunson.
New York guy.
I love Julius Randle.
Yeah.
He's an unbelievable player. Mitchell Robinson is a banger of a big inside that a lot of teams are going to have trouble matching up with. The Knicks are just really good. They have a 6-man of the year candidate with Emmanuel Quickley coming off the bench. Quentin Grimes is one of my favorite role players in the league. I love the Knicks. But the Cavs are so good. One of the best defensive teams in the league, if not the best defensive team in the league. They're as competitive as it gets. They've been consistent throughout the season at being really good. They play really good 1 through 5. A great guard, a great 5, great players in between, good depth off the bench. That's going to be a good series. Man, I want the Knicks to win that series, but I think I'd have to pick the Cavaliers in that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a really fun series. We got to get you some Knicks gear. You're decked out in your New York stuff.
I have a Knicks hat. You have to avoid some of the teams. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's one of them.
Yeah, I'm not even really. I just like the G-Men sweatshirt.
G-Men.
It works with the color scheme with the Rangers.
The Rangers.
See, you're either a Yankees, Knicks, and Rangers. I mean, seriously, a Yankees, Rangers, Giants guy,
right?
Or you're a Jets, Mets, Islanders, and then everybody likes the Knicks.
Right.
That's kind of how a New York fandom works.
Centers around the Knicks.
That's right. Well, because it was the only team for so long. Now you have the Nets, obviously, but the Nets are kind of like Johnny-come-lately. You'll go to a Nets game, but everyone's a Knicks fan.
Yeah, that's right.
Are there Nets fans? Billy Crystal famously became a Clippers fan when they moved to town, and he is the celebrity that's on the floor every game for the Clippers. I don't think the Nets have that. The Knicks have Spike Lee, and all the celebrities are always, every game, at every Knicks game, they show videos of celebrities at the Knicks game in those front row. There's like the celebrity area that all these people go sit and watch those games in the celebrity area if you're a celebrity. The Knicks don't have that. They don't have the same star power. I see you looking up who Billy Crystal is over there.
He's an actor.
He is an actor.
I didn't know. But I didn't want to shout that out.
I believe he plays Mike Wazowski.
He does.
Mike Wazowski in Monsters,
I was just going to ask you that.
You ever seen City Slickers? When Harry Met Sally, he's Harry.
No.
Billy Crystal, good actor. Funny comedian.
He's in Cars, too.
He is in Cars.
Interesting. Okay.
I think he's just a spot voice in Cars. He's not like
he's not like a main
voice. No, he's Mike Wazowski. He'll always be Mike Wazowski.
Gotcha. Well, we got to get to a break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Did you know Willis Carrier invented the modern air conditioning system in 1902? Since then, a lot has changed, but one thing that hasn't is being comfortable in your home. Choate's prides itself in creating the most comfort possible with each one of our customers' HVAC systems we install. We believe the best system on the market today is the Carrier Infinity system. Has the ability to save up to 50% or more on your utilities compared to your existing HVAC system, and is tailored to enhance your comfort with its state-of-the-art green speed technology. Right now, Carrier is offering up to 72 months, no interest financing, or rebates of up to $1,650 on a new Carrier Infinity system. Don't miss this limited time offer to have a more comfortable home. Give us a call today at 347-8086 or visit us at ChoatesHVAC.com for more information. Turn to the experts with Choates. And remember, let our family serve your family.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Spilled your milkshake? Quick, the quicker picker upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your milkshake.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Bounty, the quicker picker upper.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought about space in my cramped apartment, but in this house, all I see is empty space. The sofa and ottoman look like tiny islands in a sea of hardwood floors. I could get 2 ottomans in the living room, but then I'd need another sofa. I could tell people I'm into minimalism.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
On April 15th, don't miss the historic return of pro football to Memphis. Here we go. After 40 years, the Showboats are back. So get your tickets for a huge USFL kickoff weekend at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium.
All the way to the house.
Bring the whole family and show off your Showboats pride with a free t-shirt.
Doesn't get much more exciting than that.
Seats start at just $10.
Touchdown.
Buy your tickets today at theusfl.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Jay, do you want to go first today, or should I go?
You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. My big number of the day today is 9.
Honestly, how you see me, we have glass here. You see me stuffing my face trying to get through all this food before we go back on the air, and you have the audacity to ask me if I'm going to go first while I have food in my mouth.
Okay, first off, I wasn't looking at you, so I did not know that you had food in your mouth until the question was already coming out of my mouth, and I turned to you and saw you had food in your mouth. Second, what was it, Friday? You got all after me for not asking you if you ever wanted to go first? I thought I'd be nice today. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do my
You know what? No, I'll go first today. My
ahead.
big number of the day is 763.
It's a big number.
That's the number. The San Jose Sharks own a 763 points percentage on the road against the Thrashers and Jets franchise all time. You know, the Atlanta Thrashers moved to Winnipeg, so it's the same franchise all time. That is the best road points percentage by any franchise on the road against any other NHL team in NHL history. How about that San Jose Sharks number?
It's a great big number.
I thought so.
Well, my big number is 9. And it involves Jordan Walker, who has recorded a hit in all 9 games to start the season. He's now tied for second place with Ted Williams for the longest hit streak to start a career at age 20 or younger. He is 3 games short of Eddie Murphy, who leads in this requirement, in this list, because he recorded a hit in his first 12 games for the Philadelphia Athletics.
He's how many games short of who?
In 1912, Eddie Murphy.
Are you sure?
Eddie Murphy.
You sure?
Eddie Murphy.
I think it might be Eddie Murray.
Is it Eddie Murray?
Eddie Murphy's a comedian.
Well, I know Eddie Murphy's a comedian.
Well, I was making sure.
I just thought they had the same name.
I know, Eddie Murray.
I read it wrong.
It has to be Eddie Murray.
Is it?
It has to be. It just has to be.
Are you looking at what I was looking at?
No, but I have to be Eddie Murray. I'll look at Eddie Murphy baseball. Oh, there was an Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
He played in the 1800s.
Well, maybe he also played in 1912.
No, he did play in 1912. You're right.
So I was right.
Wow. I thought for sure it was Eddie Murray. Because Eddie Murray is a prominent baseball player. Quite frankly, never heard of Eddie Murphy. Nicknamed Honest Eddie.
Well, he played in 1912, so I'm not surprised.
Unfortunately,
you've never heard of
again,
him.
my listening skills aren't the best. Didn't hear the 1912 part. I just assumed it was Eddie Murray.
No, Eddie.
Old Honest Eddie.
Old Honest Eddie
He
from
batted
the Philadelphia
lefty.
Athletics.
He threw right-handed. Yeah, Philadelphia Athletics. Oh man, what a player!
What a guy.
Career 287.
Wow.
Hit 4 home runs in his career. 190 RBIs.
Is that all you got on?
That's my mistake.
Eddie Murphy.
He won 2 World Series, and he led the American League in hit by pitches in 1914.
Wow,
this guy is big time. How about that?
That's what you get.
It is what I get. I apologize. I really do. I didn't mean to interrupt your big number.
It's all right.
But when I heard baseball, I just assumed for sure it was Eddie Murray. I was like, he just had to have seen Eddie Murray and assumed it was Eddie Murphy because of the comedian. You just got a little mixed up. No, you meant Eddie Murphy, and you were right.
got a little mixed up.
I got a little mixed up. Eddie Murphy.
But yeah, Jordan Walker has had a pretty good start to the year, batting about 323.
Really makes you question all the other prospects you laud so much. Not you in particular, just people. People in general lauding all these prospects that spend years. I was about to say decades, but that's not accurate. But spend years in the minor league system, always having that potential.
But they're not 6'6", 250.
6'6", you're cutting him short, aren't you?
No, he's 6'6", isn't he?
Really? I always say 6'7".
He might be.
And honestly, I think I've said 6'8" before, too.
He's huge.
Pretty soon he's going to be 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Pretty soon I'm going to make him 7'3", Taco Fall size.
I believe it.
Playing right field.
What a strike zone you have to have if you're 7'3".
I was going to say, he looks giant when you see him at the plate compared to all these other guys. Almost like a creative player that you made as big as he possibly could be. Like, he looks out of place in the strike zone compared to everybody else that's there.
And that's what he's been. There's been a couple of Cardinal Twitter not happy with a couple of the strikeout calls on him because they're saying that it's too low, and then other people are coming to defend the umpire saying, well, he's so big and long that it's hard to set a strike zone for him. So, I don't know. But
fortunately, it has not equated to wins for the St. Louis Cardinals.
It has not. But I think that's more pitching than
no, I like the lineup. You're right.
Than the batting lineup.
You're
Except
right.
the batting lineup
we were trying
out
Steven Matz every game. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to say?
Jake Woodford.
Yeah, he had a tough loss. Was that yesterday he lost?
It was yesterday.
Yeah.
6-1.
That's a tough loss, man.
It was a good start, though. The first couple innings he looked good, and then just downhill from there.
You
but
expect an email here pretty soon.
Really?
I'm
But
going to tweet that you said that.
We're only through, what, 9 games?
That's right, 116 to win the season.
A lot of ball left to play. I'm not giving up on him yet, but did you also see, I should have saved this to the end, but last thing before we get to a break, the Trash Pandas, the Angels minor league team, threw a no-hitter over the weekend and lost.
Wow, really?
7-6.
How about that? Has Matt Liberatore pitched since we last checked in on him?
No, I think he'll pitch probably one day tomorrow through Thursday, one of those days.
Interesting.
He'll go out there, maybe another 7 strikeout outing for the young lefty.
It very well could be.
I would love nothing less.
And then we'll have to think about picking him up in fantasy when he gets called up.
I love it. But don't say I said it, because then all your, what do you call them, co-owners?
Yeah, I'm a co-owner.
Yeah, so
I'm a minority I'm actually a minority stakeholder.
How many minority stake owners, or how many owners for this one team are there?
There's one majority.
Okay.
There's one controlling partner.
Right.
I'm a minority stakeholder.
So it's just you two?
I don't want to divulge too much information about our franchise.
Gotcha. But don't tell them I'm the one preaching for Matthew Lotar. I don't want them coming after me.
Well, I'll just do that then.
Yeah, that's
I'll
fine.
come after you.
I'll take it from you. That's fine.
I see.
But let's get to a break. When we come back, we're going to get back into the NBA talk, specifically the Grizzlies, because DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal, he's on the Grizz beat. He'll be with us. That's on the other side.
Lewis Black, Off the Rails Tour.
You're so excited you can barely get your pants on.
Friday, April 21st, 8 p.m., Graceland Live. Tickets on sale now at gracelandlive.com.
Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts today and we'll install them for free. See better and drive safer with O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
The second you walk in the front door at 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination, one of the things that will hit you is the fantastic smells. And the top of those is the sweet aroma of experts cooking perfect steaks over a wood fire. That smell, the smell of perfect cuts of meat searing, will make your mouth water instantly. You'll probably get an appetizer, and you might even tell yourself that this time you're going to try something else on Prime's amazing menu. But that smell is probably going to win out, and you'll order the steak of your dreams at 117 Prime.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models, each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today, shop our aggressive lease and finance options now, luxury is waiting at Acura of Memphis, or shop online 24/7, visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus and Jay Morgan Harder with you. No Brett today. He'll be back tomorrow, but we got to talk some Grizzlies and the NBA playoffs with DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal covering the Grizzlies. DeMichael, thanks for joining us, and I guess we got to start with kind of the big news over the weekend. Adrian Wojnarowski, Woj bomb on, I think it was Saturday, saying that it's very unlikely that Steven Adams plays at all during the postseason. What do you make of this news? I know we've been kind of sitting and waiting on an update from Steven Adams.
Yeah, it's tough, but you can kind of see, at one point, you remember we talked with Taylor Jenkins and we got an update on Steven Adams I think it was early last week.
Yeah.
Taylor Jenkins said basically that, the Grizzlies wanted to get more doctors' opinion on what was going on with Steven Adams. That's usually, that's a sign like, hey, let's make sure it's this. Let's make sure it's that because, of course, they want him to play. Of course, he wants to play. But at the end of the day, they're going to prioritize his health as they have shown with all these other guys. But it's a tough blow if he's unable to return at any point. In the playoffs, he's been kind of a huge part of the identity of this team. And now kind of what I've said is they're going to have to reconfigure this thing. The team is not going to be built on rebounding anymore. They were the top rebounding team in the NBA when Steven Adams was healthy. That's no longer one of your primary strengths. But there are other things that you can do to kind of overcome that in other ways. And we'll see how fast the Grizzlies can kind of become that team because they got a head start on it over the last couple months. But we'll see how it showcases itself in the postseason.
Like you said, they got a head start on it the last couple of months. In addition to that, not having Steven Adams, obviously the tough injury from Brandon Clark really puts a hole in your five-man depth in that regard. We've seen kind of by committee approach. Xavier Tillman obviously getting the start. I think you've seen Santi Aldama's minutes shoot way up, especially after Brandon Clark got hurt as well. Do you assume or do you know? Are they generally, you think they're going to continue that approach, or do you think you're going to see more Jaren at the 5 when the playoffs start? What would be your best guess as to what we're going to see at that position?
So, again, this reimagining thing, right? I think part of that reimagining process for me, at least I think, is you got to try something different. I think Jaren at the 5 potentially is an option that should be explored because what we've seen the Grizzlies do in the past, as this time Steven Adams has been out. It's kind of just been plug and play, right? Yeah. Xavier Tillman steps in, and you kind of have him, do the same things that Steven Adams does, from the screen setting perspective, from the dribble handoff, all the way down to, defensively and the emphasis on rebounding. But there's only one Steven Adams. And Xavier Tillman Sr. has done an excellent job, filling in, but he's not Steven Adams. He's not going to dominate the offensive glass like a Steven Adams. And he's not going to be, the forceful rebounder period that Steven Adams is. He gives you other things that Steven Adams doesn't give you. He's great defensively with his mobility, his ability to guard wings. I mean, we've seen him guard Kawhi Leonard in a game, for goodness sake. Like, he has that ability. But I think now, with a little bit less depth, which was the reason you had to call up Kenneth Lofton Jr. to a standard contract, I think the Grizzlies will explore more Jaren at the 5. and we'll see how that goes. I think you can see, depending on the opponent as well. If you're playing the Timberwolves, for example, in that large front court, I think, of course, you still go with Jaren and Xavier Tillman Sr. to kind of match up against that side. So it's matchup-based as well. But I think we could see it, even if it's not to start, we'll see it more in stretches where the Grizzlies have Luke Kennard and Desmond Bane in the game together with Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson, and Ja Morant.
I know you wrote either this morning or last night about this very topic of what the Grizzlies will have to do now that Steven Adams is out. And one thing you pointed to, and you kind of mentioned it with playing Jaren at the 5, was more one-on-one situations in the post, more on-ball defense from Jaren. How do you think that looks? I know a lot of people would immediately point to the fouling concerns from Jaren. Do you think that Jaren can step up in that scenario in a playoff game?
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing for me, Brian. Like, you can't. Jaren is a great player, and people are lobbying for him to win Defensive Player of the Year around here. And my thing is, if he's truly the Defensive Player of the Year, you don't have to baby him. Mm-hmm. You don't have to say, oh, we don't want him to guard this guy or that guy because he's going to get in foul trouble. He's the Defensive Player of the Year. Put him on whoever you want him to guard, and worry about that on the back end. Now, some people may say, okay, that's too risky because he's so valuable. But my thing is, he's your best option in the front court when it comes to guarding. Let's look at the potential two teams here. He's going to be probably one of your best options against Karl Anthony Towns if you're playing that team. Sure, Xavier Tillman Sr. has shown that he's a capable option, so we could see that as well. But then against Anthony Davis, I mean, he's going to be one of your best options in that matchup too. So I feel like, yes, if you put him in more of those situations where he's guarding those tough matchups on the ball, he's more susceptible to the fouls. I think I acknowledged that in the story that you mentioned as well. But the other side of it is you want to use him as that roamer, right? We've seen them have success, against teams who have forwards who aren't great shooters, and you can kind of let Jaren Jackson Jr. roam all over the place. He can protect the paint. He can roam to the three-point line against talented wings and things like that. And it really kind of, helps cover up some of the deficiencies that other players have on the defensive end. But at the same time, if you're going against teams who their best player is a guy in the post, then you probably, you get Xavier Tillman Sr. get the first crack because he's proven capable. But if it doesn't work, you got to be ready to make that switch and say, Jaren, you got him.
You mentioned the two teams they possibly could play against being the Timberwolves and Lakers. I was going to ask you this later, but since we're already kind of talking about it, which team do you think they match up the best against if whoever wins this game tomorrow night?
Before all of this stuff went on with the Timberwolves, I actually would have said the Lakers, to a lot of people's surprise. But, now I'm going to say the Timberwolves. Jaden McDaniels being out is a big one. That is huge. His defensive versatility. We always go back to last season and how the Timberwolves basically guarded Ja Morant in that series better than we've ever seen him guarded. It was consistent bad games from Ja Morant to his level. By his standards, bad games. But Jaden McDaniels was a big part of that, and Anthony Edwards and the whole group. But no Jaden McDaniels. Rudy Gobert would be back in theory for that series. But I think there's kind of a counterproductiveness to getting Rudy Gobert on this team. One thing is last season, Karl Anthony Towns destroyed the Grizzlies when he played the 5. I mean, it was tough. We saw the Grizzlies go through, I think, 3 different centers in that series, just trying to find an answer for guarding him. And now you move him to the 4, and I think that kind of helps the Grizzlies out a little bit more. So I'm going to say now the Lakers are the tougher matchup. Not for any particular reason, because a lot of people say talent-wise the Lakers match up better, but it's not being talked about enough. The fact that the Lakers' 3 best players, in my mind, D'Angelo Russell, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, are all dealing with foot injuries that aren't going away. That has not really been discussed that much. Yes, LeBron James said he went to the quote-unquote LeBron James of foot doctors, but he had to go to that guy just to get, or that guy or a woman to get approved because he's not going to be 100%. And you talk about a playoff series where 38, 39 minutes is what's going to be required of the best players to get this thing done. From a health perspective, from the Grizzlies just playing style, and then they have home court. I'm leaning Grizzlies either way it goes. But I think the Lakers, because they have LeBron James, at the end of the day, you got Anthony Davis and LeBron James, one of the best duos in NBA still. So that's going to be a real tough matchup if that's who they draw.
Yeah. So the Grizzlies now have about a week off before they play the first game in the first round on Sunday. I know a lot of eyes will be on that game tomorrow night between the Lakers and the Timberwolves. But with this kind of week, as you look back at the regular season, there were a lot of highs, some lows for this team. If you had to give the regular season for the Grizzlies a grade, how would you grade it?
I'd give it a B, B plus. Now it depends on, the things that I would take points off for are pretty much the things you can't control. Sure. So injuries, off the court issues, things like that. But on the court, I mean, just for them to get where they did, second seed in the West, despite all the things that happened, I mean, that was about as best as you could draw it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start the season, no Jaren Jackson Jr. And it's like, oh, yeah, we finally got Jaren back. Boom, Desmond Bane goes down. It's like, man, okay, now we get Des back. Boom, Steven Adams goes down. And it's like, oh, man, okay, Steven's going to get back in March. Nah, actually, he's not going to be back in March. He'll be back in April. Okay, Steven's going to get back in April. Like, you just never really got to see this team. I think the projected starting lineup played 11 games together. John Morant,
wow.
Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., Steven Adams. 11 games. And they still, finished the season top two in what we can say is arguably one of the most competitive, from top to bottom races in the Western Conference, in the 21st century. So, I think you give it an A for everything they had to overcome. But if you factor in all those things that they had to overcome, it's a B. It's a B plus because those things do kind of hurt their chances of winning the championship.
Certainly do. I think you made a great point at the start of this when we talked about Steven Adams, the rebounding in particular, especially the offensive rebounding, just how big Steven Adams was in that regard before he got hurt. I'm sorry to make you jump around from one thing to another, but I want to go back to Steven Adams real quick, just as it relates to, because I just thought of this while you were talking. You are a beat writer for the team, and you still have to report on them every single game and every night and every day and stuff like that. How peculiar do you think it is, or how common maybe is it across the league to see kind of the runaround about a player's injury like this? Is it do you give me your thoughts about the Steven Adams runaround with the injury? Like you said, we thought he was going to be back for a period of time. He wasn't back. It could just be the trials and tribulations, the natural trials and tribulations, the injury. Just give me your thoughts about the runaround in that regard.
Yeah, so different teams have different, protocols and how they handle these things. So the Timberwolves, for example, right? Just following that team from afar, you remember Karl Anthony Towns had the calf strain. There was a report that came out. I think he got injured in December, but there was a report that came out initially that basically said he could be back by the end of January, and the end of January came and went. And, people in Minnesota were confused, but then I think Karl Anthony Towns and some other people basically came out and said some things like that. That report was, there was never a firm timeline given to him. But going more to the team side of it, the Timberwolves never really gave out updates. Hey, he's progressing here. He's progressing here pretty much until March. So that's kind of how they handled it. The Grizzlies were more firm with timelines, with Steven Adams. And that's how the Grizzlies have done with a lot of their players. They don't talk about it much in between the time, but it was like, hey, Steven Adams, 4 to 6 weeks. Then 4 to 6 weeks came, and it's like Steven Adams, we ask questions, and they say he's getting close. But what we've learned, just in the case of Steven Adams in particular, is, he was close. That first time, I think it was early March when he was supposed to come back. He was actually close, and he was doing 5-on-5. I mean, that's how close he was. He was literally doing 5-on-5 work with the team. But, just they realized he needed a stem cell injection because the final steps for him after the 5-on-5 was just approval from doctors, and he needed the stem cell injection. Got the stem cell injection. I talked to a doctor about the stem cell injection, and one doctor told me that basically these things are like a 90% success rate when it comes to the timeliness. So what Steven Adams is going through is pretty unusual and pretty uncommon.
90%. I mean, that's...
Well, that makes me feel, I mean, it's unfortunate that it's only a 10% chance, but that does make me feel a lot better in that it's just kind of, no one could have predicted the trials and tribulations of the injury. It just kind of happened, and they seem to tell you what was happening as it occurred.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I don't think they had an idea that this thing would linger on, you know, the way it has. But I mean, we're here now, and they're kind of like adjusting on the fly. You know, there was hope. I mean, we were talking to the players a week ago, and Luke Kennard was telling me how, you know, he's excited to get some screens from Steven Adams and then little things like that. But, you know, so even from the players' side, they were kind of, you know, gearing up for the anticipation as well.
Well, when you look at this team from a health standpoint, obviously we've kind of talked about the Steven Adams and Brandon Clark injuries, but John Morant left for a short time in that Milwaukee Bucks game on Friday. It seemed like after the game, everything was all good. Is that finger fine? And then with kind of some of the other guys, Dylan Brooks, those guys, everyone else seemingly healthy going into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think most of the guys are pretty much healthy. I think the thing with Ja is they want him icing his hand, and good thing about having the 2 seed is you get pretty much a week, you know, before your game. So, you know, as long as there isn't any, you know, ligament damage or anything like that, he's just going to ice it and he'll be fine. Santi Aldama has, you know, missed the last 2 games. He had the elbow soreness, as the team is calling it. I haven't heard anything further on that end of concern, but, you know, I haven't seen as well anything good, you know, stating that he's going to be cleared to go. So we'll get out to practice this week and kind of get more of a firm update on his playing status, because I think in terms of front court depth, they're already light, and now Santi is like the next big piece. You want to see how his elbow recovers ahead of this game 1 on Sunday.
And a little bit maybe less important news, I should say, but it's still a remarkable milestone. Yesterday, in a kind of a more G League-centric game, the Grizzlies and the Thunder, Kenneth Lofton, the day after he was signed to a legitimate NBA contract with the Grizzlies, scores 42 points in his debut, an unbelievable start. What did the team, his teammates, his coaches, what did they have to say about that performance? And what do you think this means going forward for Kenneth Lofton Jr.? Do you think he has a lot of promise in terms of the rookies from this year and maybe even last year too to be a significant contributor on this team in years going forward?
Man, it was a confidence boost for one. You know, being on the NBA floor and getting that type of playing time. And being around all your teammates. You know, sure, some of the guys come down to the hustle game, but them being on the bench, cheering it, seeing the spin moves, you know, up close and personal, spin move after spin move, and the fadeaway jumper and the mid-range jumper, the three-pointer, all of that. I think when we talk about his production and what he can bring to this team, I've always said he is that guy that kind of gives you that back-to-the-basket presence that this team has been missing. But to the contrary, there have been defensive concerns, you know, with Kenneth Lofton Jr. over the course of time. And I've always felt, well, you know, the Grizzlies do a great job of covering up for other guys who have defensive deficiencies on the team. I wonder if you put him in a lineup with a Jaren Jackson Jr., that looks much different than some of the lineups he was in Summer League and some of the guys he's played with there. Put him in a lineup with Jaren Jackson Jr., and how can, you know, Jaren, you know, protect the rim, cover up for him and things like that, and how will he be able to guard in space and things like that. I think that's the next step. But he kind of gives me those Xavier Tillman from last year playoff vibes. You know, he is that guy who won't start the playoffs in the rotation, in my opinion. But depending on the matchup or whatever the case may be, maybe some foul trouble, he could kind of be lifted into the game. And then with that opportunity, who knows what he'll do with it? You know, he could provide a spurt and then turn himself into a rotation player in the playoffs. But long term, I think the Grizzlies were right by signing him to a standard contract and, you know, making sure that he's around here, you know, for a while.
You make a great point, too. I think it's easy to forget that there was a series that the Grizzlies really played matchups and played Xavier Tillman significantly against the Timberwolves. You never know what kind of matchup that this coaching staff will decide they like and throw a player that you maybe didn't expect out there. DeMichael Cole joins us, Commercial Appeal Grizzlies beat writer. One more question for you before we have to let you go here. Tyus Jones, now officially that the season's over, he has led the league in assist-to-turnover ratio in the last 5 seasons. Unbelievable from the Grizzlies' backup point guard. Obviously, they've locked him up contract-wise at this point. What do his teammates and coaches say about Tyus Jones when you ask about him? Do they talk about just how good of a point guard he is?
They enjoy playing with that guy. They really do. Tyus is he's one of those guys where in the locker room you won't find too many people say anything bad about him. They love playing on the floor with him. It's kind of, you can see it. When the Grizzlies have the ball offensively, if you're on the floor with Tyus Jones, dudes are running. Like, you watch Zaire Williams, David Roddy, Desmond Bain, all these guys run the wing when they're in the game with Tyus Jones. It's like they're running a route as a wide receiver because they know the ball's coming. He's kind of been, the prototypical point guard. I think he's a great balance to what Ja brings. That's why people point out the differences, in how the Grizzlies play with Ja and how the Grizzlies play with Tyus, because they're noticeable, but they're strong in their own ways. But it's kind of good to see, Tyus can kind of give some of those things that he's learned off to Ja Morant, and that's kind of the story that the stats don't tell, right? Ja Morant was out all of that time when he was suspended, and he watched real closely how Tyus emphasized getting the ball to Jaren Jackson Jr. He watched how Tyus played off the ball, and Desmond Bain, got some run on the ball, and those two kind of deferred off of each other. Now what you're seeing, Ja Morant, he's picking that up, and that's why he said recently, I'm sure you guys heard the comments where he talked about not being a number one option anymore, and he mentioned the names Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson Jr. Simply because by watching Tyus, he got to see Jaren and Des take their games to different levels, and now he's trying to incorporate some of what Tyus was doing into his game. So Tyus, it's not only his play on the court, but it's what he's teaching these guys and what they're learning from him as well.
Wow, that's impressive. I was impressed when I saw that stat that Jay referred to, but just hearing what you're saying, it's even more impressive. But DeMichael, thanks for joining us. Enjoy Game 1 on Sunday, and we'll talk to you again next Monday and recap that game.
All right, appreciate you guys. It's going to be a fun run.
Absolutely. Thanks, DeMichael. DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal covering the Grizzlies.
You get a little run for Tyus to be Sixth Man of the Year.
That's right.
I don't think he has a chance to win, but he needs to be in the conversation. Lifetime.
Really
you know how,
should.
like at the Oscars, they'll sometimes give you Best Actor or Best Actress or Best Supporting Actor or Actress as like kind of a Lifetime Achievement Award. Like, you've done such good work for a long period of time. Maybe this wasn't your best role ever, but who knows if you'll be nominated again? We got to give it to you now. I think Tyus.
So you can have one.
That's what they need to do for Tyus here.
This year, or do you think that's like in a couple years?
Well, I want Brogdon to win it. I really want Emmanuel quickly to win it this year, but Brogdon has been better. But who cares about who's been better? Give it to Emmanuel quickly.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Tyus.
Yeah, you know what? Who cares who's been better? Give it to Tyus. Lifetime Achievement Award. Great point by you.
Thank you. Well, we need to get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Like any good agent, we're here for the open house, for the closing, for handing over keys. But because we're realtors, we're here for so much more. Agents who are realtors volunteer at nearly 3 times the national average. We're working to broaden access to credit, increase affordable housing supply, and ensure fair housing for all. And realtors are bound by a code of ethics. We're here for it all. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Try new Syntec High Mileage Full Synthetic Motor Oil to help high mileage engines run better for longer. Only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Are you looking to lease a commercial space for your business? Call Stephen Hoffman. Are you a landlord looking to have your space leased? Call Stephen Hoffman. Maybe you're looking to buy or sell commercial real estate. If so, you want a professional broker looking out for your best interest, and that broker is Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Stephen is a Memphis native who knows his market well and only works the commercial side of real estate. He works for a great firm that has been locally owned and operated in Memphis for almost 40 years. Whether representing tenants, landlords, or investors alike, you are sure to get great market analysis, access to on and off market listings, and a tough negotiator on your behalf. Call 901-761-5595 and ask for Stephen Hoffman. You can also find him on the web at MyersCRE.com. That's MYERSCRE.com. Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Representing your real estate business is his business. Call Stephen Hoffman. 901-761-5595.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we got a little more than 30 minutes left in today's show, and we've got a couple of things to get into.
I got one.
Please.
I just wanted to get in there first.
Please.
I do have one. So Friday, this wasn't on the air. You said you wanted to bid on a Redbirds jersey.
I did.
And I just saw the pictures. Was that for the Tigers night?
Yeah, did you see those jerseys? That was Friday night.
Yeah, I do see them. They have tiger stripes on the sleeves, and then they're blue jerseys.
Yeah, with white numbers.
You know what the problem is with all these jerseys? The Music M logo.
Yeah, I don't
It's
love that.
so dumb.
Yeah.
What is the mascot?
Oh.
What's the mascot?
A redbird.
It's a redbird. Why is there a music note? They're not the sounds.
They're doing a giveaway later this season for the Redbirds they're giving away like 1,000 replica jerseys of the like original Memphis Redbird jerseys, like the good jerseys.
Which original?
Like
the ones that Stubby Clapp would have worn, or the ones in
like
early
Colby
Colby Rasmus would have worn?
I think early 2000s.
I think they got here in 2000.
Yeah, like the first ones.
Ooh. See, those are pretty plain.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Those are pretty plain.
2008 maybe.
I liked the era where they had the 3 jerseys. They had a white one,
okay,
and then they had a dark blue and a red one that both said Redbirds and like script lettering on it. Those are my favorite.
That's a good one.
I like those a lot. But the old ones that like Stubby Clapp wore, they was just very like block lettering, and I believe it just said Memphis across the chest.
Yeah.
However, the hat logo, it was a blue oval with an M over
fire.
it. Great logo. Love that
Love
logo.
that logo.
I don't even mind the script M necessarily. The script M is fine for me, but for me, the blue oval M is the best Redbirds logo that I can put my finger on.
1998.
So that would have been in the old ballpark, right?
So this would be, nobody can see this, but it'd be like that.
Oh, so
right?
that's later. That's later.
So that's not the right one. That's the script one you were just talking about. It's going to be this one.
The jerseys that Bryant held up. So he held up two. One of them is from, like, let's say circa 2008. It says, he's showing the camera on Zoom. You can watch this on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook.
Twitter.
Nailed all of them. He held up two. The first one was from, like, 2008. It said Memphis in, like, script lettering.
With a bird on
and
the
it still
H.
had the bird on one of them. And then the second one he held up was the one that Stubby Clapp wore. It was
Yeah.
very block Memphis lettering.
I love that one.
It also had a bird, but it was less script handwriting.
Yeah.
It just said Memphis in very block lettering. Either way, I like both of those jerseys better than these
When
current
is that?
ones.
That's May 20th, a Saturday. I might go to that game and try to get one of those jerseys.
These new ones are just crap. I mean, I'm sorry.
Well,
they're just terrible.
see, the problem
And I also
is-
don't like the neon Redbirds logo.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Well, that's so stupid.
Because what they tried to do is they tried to tap in to Beale Street.
That's right.
And so they've got all of these neon, the logo's now like a neon M, and...
I don't work in marketing. Okay? Very clearly, don't work in marketing, not a marketing guy. But what fans are you drawing in with that connection? You know what I mean? It's not like people feel more closely connected to the Redbirds after something like that.
Yeah.
Not that any logo that you make for a AAA baseball team is going to increase attendance or your fan base or interaction or anything like that. So just make a good logo.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, this one looks terrible. You telling me you can't do a better job than
Well,
this?
but that's not their main
You're just
logo.
trying to tap into the music note M is literally on the Memphis Redbirds Twitter logo. It's their Twitter icon.
Is it really?
It's literally their Twitter icon.
I thought the little bird, like the updated bird, was their main
The
logo.
updated bird. I see that one like when you drive downtown and you drive past AutoZone Park. That's the one that's on the building there. But on their Twitter page,
Is the neon
it's the
M.
neon Music Note M. On their jerseys is the Music Note M. Is stupid. I'll say it. Stupid. Your logo's how many different generally you tailor your logo and your jerseys to whatever the mascot of your team is. In this case, it's a Redbird. Now, what's our mascot? Is it the city of Memphis?
Beale Street.
Is it Beale Street? Is it music? Or is it
A Redbird.
birds? I can't tell.
Good question.
I can't keep up.
I don't know. But I did like those Memphis jerseys they had.
Very sports radio complaining about minor league baseball.
Well, we have breaking news I'm going to get to in 1 second,
All
but
right.
I want to finish this conversation.
Matt Lieber tore 7 Ks the other night. We'll have for him to pitch again coming up later this week.
That was Thursday night.
Are
So
the
maybe we'll
Redbirds
throw against Thursday
Are the
night.
Redbirds in town this week?
Great
I don't mean to ask you
question.
questions you don't answer. Go ahead. Bring it to me.
But I watched the game where they had the Tiger Night or whatever, and they do all the like on-field games with kids. They'll bring kids on the field and they'll do like tug of war stuff. They had those kids going up against
adults,
Tiger players, because it was like the Tiger
because
Night.
it was Tiger Night,
right?
Like
And
basketball, baseball, or assorted sports.
So it was 2 football players doing tug of war against like 7 or 8 kids.
I love that.
It was a ladies basketball player doing like shooting balls into buckets. And then there might have been one more with like a baseball player.
Wow.
No, not a baseball
That's
player.
not
It was
fair.
baseball player would have been
They were playing, yeah.
I don't know what the other one was.
Softball, maybe.
All the Tigers lost in those events. They let the kids win.
Well, that's
not
nice.
a good look.
Well, but
not
that's nice.
a good
though.
look.
Oh, so you think it's bad? I think it's good.
Not a good look.
You want the fans to always win. I think is the rule.
That's
though.
true, but what if you're like an opposing team? You're watching this and you're like,
We're
man,
gonna
these
kill them.
guys
Who
lost tug of war to
What opposing team is what? Temple is scouting the University of Memphis
at the Memphis Redbirds
AAA
game.
baseball game.
Yeah.
The Redbirds are in Gwinnett this week.
Ooh, so playing the Braves.
That's right.
So we got breaking news.
Okay.
After we just talked about AAA baseball for however long we talked about AAA baseball, Memphis has got another commit.
University of
Memphis basketball. Coach Penny Hardaway has secured a commitment from Teofile Leonard. I'm gonna just call him Tia because
nailed it.
I don't know how to pronounce the rest of his first name. This is another guy that was on a visit this weekend. A 6'7", 175-pound guard forward combo. Averaged 8.3 points, 4 rebounds, and 1.7 assists last year. He picked the Tigers over Texas A&M in the NBL. So not a center.
Another guard. So one more spot available. Right? Isn't that what you said?
As long as Malcolm returns. If Malcolm doesn't return, then you have 2 spots available.
Oh, there's 2
I
spots.
believe.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, okay. So then you got 2 spots for a center then. And one of them could be a player already on your roster. So we're chilling.
That's very Penny Hardaway to be very guard-driven on his team. So it shouldn't concern you as much, I don't think.
Not that anybody cares, but I'm looking through the Gwinnett Braves roster right now. Mike Soroka.
Oh, wow.
And Kyle Wright. Both
Really?
former Major League. They might be on assignment. Soroka's supposed to come back. Soroka's a monster. I think he's just on assignment. Charlie Culberson is on this roster. Magnera Sierra, former Cardinal, is an outfielder for them. I believe Magnera Sierra, former Marlin, too. Former Marlin and former Cardinal.
Wow.
And now a Brave. So all the 3 teams I cheer for, Magnera Sierra
How about that?
has been a part of. And that's all the players that I've heard of on the Gwinnett Braves.
Mm.
Or they're Stripers now.
Stripers, yeah.
They're no
Gwinnett
longer the
Stripers.
Gwinnett Braves.
They're Fish now.
Because I believe the Brave Stadium is in Gwinnett. So they're all in Gwinnett. And so you can't have so you can't have the Gwinnett Braves and the Atlanta Braves.
Really?
Right, the Stripers had to change their name.
That's right.
They had to.
That's
too
fair.
many Braves. But the Double-A Mississippi Braves,
They're still the Mississippi Braves.
they're the Braves.
But their field was unplayable a couple weeks ago when Ole Miss and Southern Miss played there.
Ole Miss, terrible luck in minor league stadiums.
3 days before the season was supposed to start.
Terrible luck in minor league stadiums Ole Miss has. Last year at AutoZone Park, it get the rain delay with the tarp.
right.
Remember, there's water all over the field.
Yeah.
They pulled the
That
tarp off
was
wrong.
terrible.
Well, they pulled it off
Oh,
wrong,
that's
right?
right.
They pulled it off
Yeah.
wrong, and there was water all over the field.
That's right.
And then this year at in Jackson,
Field was unplayable. They had to stop in the fourth inning.
What a shame.
That is a shame. Some other transfer portal news. So the Tigers lock up Tia Leonard from Middle Tennessee State. But we talked Friday about Khalil Ware, a name to keep an eye on, a big center, 7-foot center.
Haven't stopped thinking about it.
Well, you probably need to. He just committed to Indiana and Mike Woodson.
Good program.
It looked like it was going that direction. I said on Friday that he had a visit to Alabama set up. Well, he canceled that visit.
Wow. Disrespectful.
Because he had gone on a visit at Indiana and
he fell in love.
Fell in love with Indiana. So
one thing about Mike Woodson, he once he gets players on campus, they commit. I don't know that for a fact whatsoever, but it sounds good.
Same thing with Penny.
Well, there you go. And that's actually true. He had 2 players on campus this past week, and they both committed,
3.
right? Oh, all 3 committed.
All 3 have committed.
There
Well,
you
I think
go.
there was one more.
I've already lost track of all these names. to be honest with
I
you.
think Mustafa Amzil was also on. So it was 4 guys. So 3 out of
Moose.
4. 75%.
They call him
success
Moose.
rate.
Mustafa. Moose, that's what they call Mike Moustakis is Moose.
That's right.
So I'm just drawing
But
conclusions.
75% success rate.
Very good.
It's pretty good.
Excellent. That's why I love the offseason more than the regular season.
Because we're just putting that jigsaw puzzle together.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Munge just tweeted about this guy, and I promise you this is the last thing I'm going to say about him.
No, that's fine.
And he has a quote from him because he did a story. Go, if you want to read about Memphis' new commit, go over to Jason Munz's Twitter at Munsley or to the Commercial Appeal. He just wrote a story about him where he has a quote that he tweeted from Tia Leonard that says, quote, I would probably say what I do best is probably hustle.
Wow. Not a skill, but great.
Need hustle, guys.
You got to have hustle, guys.
Gotta have hustle, guys. So that makes 3 commitments from over the weekend for the Memphis Tigers. That's pretty good.
I mean, you and I can go out there and hustle.
That's right. I was one of the best hustlers when I played basketball.
All hustle team.
I was. Multiple time, actually.
Really?
I actually hurt my leg by hustling too much.
Is that right?
I had to wear a boot for like 3 weeks.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You break something? Or?
It was a high ankle sprain. Doc said it was the worst high ankle sprain he'd ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should go back to that doctor and ask him if his rankings have changed.
I doubt it.
I remember you're number 1 on my worst high ankle sprain power rankings. All those years ago.
Yeah. And the story became that I got dunked on. That's why I got a high ankle sprain.
Is that actually what happened?
No. It was a little kid got under me and I came down wrong on my ankle.
Why did the story be your friends just messing with
My
you?
friend, well, it was rec basketball, so my friends all went to school and told everybody that I got dunked on. Brian got dunked on last night.
It was reckless because you hustled too hard and had a high ankle sprain.
That's right. First team, all defense.
So you all out of Tiger news?
Yeah, but I wasn't even going to talk about Tigers during the segment.
I have nothing else to offer to the segment. That's why I was asking you if you had any Tiger news or anything like that.
See, I was going to talk NFL this segment
Okay.
until we got all of that
I'm not
news
sure I have any
coming
opinions
in.
about that either, but go ahead.
Odell Beckham Jr.
To the Ravens.
got signed to the Ravens for a 1-year deal.
And then he FaceTimed Lamar.
That's
Is
right.
Lamar going back to
They say
to the
Lamar
Ravens?
recruited him to Baltimore.
Who says that?
I saw a report. I don't remember exactly who, but I saw a report
That
today.
doesn't make sense. He asked for a trade last week.
I know, but maybe he's saying, if my boy Odell comes,
I'll come.
I'll come back. And so maybe.
So they're trying to keep him happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
100%. So that's Odell Beckham Jr. The Ravens need receivers, especially if Lamar's coming back. I think it helps a lot. I would almost say Lamar Jackson's now a lock to go back to the Ravens.
You can report that?
Do you concur? I can't report it.
Why
I'm
not?
not in Baltimore.
Well, you don't have to be in Baltimore. Woj isn't wherever he is.
That's
whenever he
true.
reports
But I'm not
things.
getting nobody from the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson's not texting me saying I'm going back to Baltimore.
Well, that's interesting. They texted me, and I am here to report it exclusively.
Wow.
Lamar Jackson will be a Raven next season. Your thoughts?
I like it.
What did I report last week?
You guaranteed some.
No, I reported something. I didn't
You
guarantee
reported
anything.
that somebody was going to be back next year or coming to
the
Memphis
University of
next
Memphis
year.
for basketball?
Yes. Oh, Adama Sanogo.
Oh, he's going to be a Tiger.
We should have asked David Cobb about Adama Sanogo because he wrote about Adama
He
Sanogo
did.
today.
I actually thought about asking him about that, but we had already asked him with so many Tiger questions. I was just like, let's not waste this guy's time. He's a national basketball reporter.
We're just
we
wasting
could
his time.
ask Jason Munz on Friday about that. He's covering the team
Right.
exclusively. Or no, he doesn't come on weekly.
That's correct.
Sports Time anymore.
We'll have to wait till next season.
Well,
but we might have him on.
Shoot him a text.
Yeah, we might have him on once this team kind of gets finalized.
Got to.
Talk about the
Well,
team.
and then Sanogo will be
But
here.
Sanogo will be on the team, so
Sanogo
it'll
won't
be a
worry
little
about that
different.
anymore.
But David Cobb did write about Adama Sanogo and talked about
Wow.
what he could do next year. Didn't mention Memphis, so maybe you should shoot him a text.
Does he know that the coach that they hired from New York was his AAU coach?
Oh, that's a good question. See, that's why he's on staff.
Does he know that exactly? Which is always what you want on a college
Do you
basketball
know that
staff.
assistant's name,
You
or
always,
do you just
No
know he
idea.
was his coach?
No idea what the guy's name is.
Andy Bowman.
I do know it's always important, though,
yes.
on a college basketball
Relationships.
staff
Right.
to have one coach that doesn't do any on-court work and only can recruit players. Like, every staff has that. Look around. What, are you blind? Look around the league,
Kentucky
Brian.
has it.
Exactly.
That's why they bring in all the 5-stars. every
Because
year.
they just have one guy who goes
On
to
his
practice.
computer all the
He goes to
time.
practice. I'm out of here.
I'm outta
This
here.
is bull. I didn't sign up for coaching to be on the court coaching. I'm here to recruit. And then he leaves. Or maybe it's a step below coaching is the recruiting coach. So you have 3 coaches you're allowed on staff. The third, and obviously you power rank them all.
Of course.
And so your third one is just the recruiter.
Just the recruiter.
Coach, I don't need you to coach. Go
I just need you to recruit.
I just need you to recruit.
the only reason you're here.
That's all you're here for. All the guys you know, make sure they come here.
Get him here.
That's right.
And then we'll say you did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it'll be interesting. We still got a couple of weeks. He's still got to enter the portal, but I think you're spot on, Jay.
Thank you.
Reporting at his finest.
Reporting that Adama Sanogo will be a Tiger next year and that Lamar Jackson will be a Raven. We'll see if I'm 2 for 2. No, we don't have to see. I'm reporting it. People told me.
'Cause it's gonna happen.
I have multiple sources. I'm not just a one-source Sally.
Pony.
No, one-source Sally.
Gotcha.
I'm not just a one-source Stu.
Uh-huh.
I have multiple sources confirming.
And they're all saying the same thing.
And then other sources confirmed those sources. Sanogo to Memphis.
Confirmed to confirm.
That's right.
Wow.
So that went up to 4 for each now.
Wow.
Sanogo to Memphis. Lamar Jackson to Baltimore. Mark it down.
Mark it down. On that note, we need to get
Putting
to...
my credibility on the line.
You sure are. And we're going to go to a break after that. When we come back, we'll wrap it up like we always do at Taco Bell Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Lewis Black, Off the Rails Tour.
You're so excited you can barely get your pants on.
Friday, April 21st, 8 p.m., Graceland Live. Tickets on sale now at gracelandlive.com.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is Geraldo. It is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, what I learned today is that the Tigers have 3 new commitments through the transfer portal.
We just talked about that.
That's what I learned.
Very lazy, can we call this journalism? Very lazy talk show hosting by you right there. I'm sorry, continue.
I was going to bring more to the table, though.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's see what's on the table.
You ready?
And then I'll assess your job.
Okay. Caleb Mills, 6'3" guard from Florida State, was the first to commit to the Tigers. Division II transfer Jonathan Pierre was the second to commit, a 6'9" guard from the D2 ranks. And then just minutes ago, Tia Leonard, the third to commit. What I've seen of Tia Leonard, haven't seen much, but what I've heard and what I've seen over the past couple of minutes since he's committed is that he's very athletic and that he can add a lot on the defensive end, which the Tigers, not very good defensively last year. So bring in someone who people seem to tout as a defensive guy could certainly help. I saw somebody, I don't remember who, on Twitter just scrolling through saying that he's kind of like Josh Minot, which I don't take that for what you want.
He's a pro.
Josh Minot didn't play much, though.
Yeah, but he's a pro.
That's right. But all in all, 75%, you had 4 guys visit. You don't know what that 4th's going to do. 75% getting guys on campus and having them commit over the weekend is very impressive. Now go get a big man.
You know, I just realized Josh Minot's a Timberwolf.
He is. That's
How about
right.
that?
Maybe he'll play with all these suspensions, injuries. You never know. Now, who?
But that's only in the play-in now.
Who do you cheer for, though, if you're a Tiger and Grizzlies fan?
I don't know.
Josh Minot?
I I think there's more Grizzlies on the Grizzlies than there are Tigers on the Timberwolves.
Good point.
But there is a Grizzly on the Timberwolves.
Now,
if
if they're playing the Detroit Pistons.
But if you still claim Kyle Anderson, there's a Grizzly on the Timberwolves.
Well, a lot of people were claiming Kyle Anderson yesterday because of the little squabble with
back your guy.
Rudy Gobert.
You gotta back your guy.
One of us.
What I learned today?
That's right.
What I learned today, Udonis Haslem is calling it a career after 21 years in professional basketball for the Miami Heat. An unbelievable career.
Got a standing O.
At 24 last night, he also, Bam Adebayo, gifted him a rocking chair that he sat in at midcourt before the game because, old men love to sit in rocking chairs. So it's a great, 40-plus year career for Udonis Haslem in the NBA?
Unbelievable.
No, it wasn't. It was 20 years. But, that's a good joke that I've heard multiple times now. He played 40 years in the NBA.
He looks like he's played 40 years in the NBA.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He's not that many wrinkles yet. But a great career for Udonis Haslem. Literally carved his own way through the league. I would imagine he's obviously been a central part to their success, even as a player emeritus, you can call him, over the past few years. Wouldn't be surprised if a guy like that gets in the coaching ranks.
Absolutely. I would love to see that. Maybe with the Heat.
I think it'll be the Heat.
Heat culture ingrained in him.
He is Heat culture.
He is. Can I do one more, what I learned today?
I don't care.
Okay. What I also learned today is that there might be some more buzz growing around Bryce Young to the Panthers to the number 1 pick.
The odds have changed where it's even odds both ways now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. CJ Stroud was a huge favorite over the past few weeks.
Minus 200.
It's like even odds now both ways.
Wow.
How about that?
So how this all started is you go to any mock draft, it has CJ Stroud as the number 1 pick. But Chris Mortensen, who is an NFL reporter for ESPN, said last week he believes Bryce Young will be the first pick and said that everyone he's talked to within the Carolina Panthers all talk about how much they love Bryce Young. The Panthers are bringing in
with them this week.
They're bringing in all 4 quarterbacks this week to meet with them in Charlotte. So we'll see what happens if maybe Bryce Young can sell them a little bit more this week, because it seems like everyone that makes mock drafts and on the NFL side says C.J. Stroud's the way to go. It seems like the more people that are on the college football side of things in terms of the national media tend to think Bryce Young is the better option at number 1. So we'll see what happens.
What do you say?
I say let's all just have fun.
I love it. That's what I say too, actually.
What I could have done without is this story coming out about Dwayne Haskins' family.
Crazy.
They are planning to, or they have filed a lawsuit against multiple people saying that Dwayne Haskins was a target in a blackmail and robbery conspiracy. The family's suing the hotel and a couple of bars that he went to that night, saying that they allowed patrons to use drugs and to drug other patrons. 4 individuals for committed battery. Now, here's where they lose me. The driver of the dump truck that hit Dwayne Haskins.
He's in on it.
And the Florida Department of Transportation and Rome Rental Car, which is the place that rented him the vehicle, that said it had mechanical issues and that it ran out of gas.
Cut his gas line.
That's their fault. That's crazy.
It might be.
I mean, I'm sorry for Dwayne Haskins and his family. That's
Doesn't
tragic.
sound like you are.
No, I really am. But you lose me when you start wanting to sue the dump truck driver and everybody else.
Yeah, it's a wild conspiracy theory. We'll see what happens, I suppose. I just want everyone to have fun, Brian.
That's right. Well, this is a tough subject.
I mixed up what I could have done without and what I could. It doesn't matter, though. Jorge Masvidal also retired. Jorge Masvidal, 50-plus.
Told everyone to put all their money on him.
Career fights, yeah, but he's just selling the fight. He's an unbelievable fighter, an unbelievable draw. He's a career fighter. He had a lot of losses before he made it big in regards to actually being a pay-per-view sell. He is laying down the gloves after 4 straight losses. One of my favorite fighters to watch. He had some choice words after the fight, which was interesting to see.
Really?
Nonetheless, he's a great
choice words about what?
It doesn't matter. He's a great fighter, though, an unbelievable career, and he will be missed. He'll be successful. I'm assuming he'll get into some kind of entertainment business.
Sure.
He's a great
showman. That's
one of my
sure.
favorite fighters.
What I'm keeping an eye on tonight, not much outside of baseball. The Cardinals back in action against the Rockies. Jay, you said that total is insane. Some other good games.
11.
Mariners, Cubs, Braves versus Reds. Anything you're keeping an eye on?
Rangers play in 5 minutes against the Buffalo Sabres. I'm watching that one. Igor.
Hockey.
2 games left tonight. Rangers, Sabres, and then they play against the Leafs, I believe, on Thursday.
It's also Sandy Day for the Marlins, so it should be a fun night of baseball and hockey. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll meet you again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
I'm with John